You are looking live at Reliance Stadium for round 13 of Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship. Other sports have 5 rounds of playoffs. We have 5 races to the end, and it all starts here in Houston tonight. Kevin Barnett and Jim Holley bringing you the action here on Supercross Live. Welcome into our studio position here high above in the rafters of Reliance Stadium, a beautiful stadium here in Houston, Texas. Jim, you were mentioning earlier today that the Superdome, when you used to come race in the Superdome, you thought that was huge. It is right next to this building. It is tiny, or Astrodome, pardon me.
Yeah, I was going to have to correct you. The Superdome's in New Orleans,
yeah.
But yeah, the Astrodome, when I first came here to start racing, I just thought, wow, man, this place is huge. But then when they built Reliance Stadium and you look at that, it kind of dwarfs it. I mean, it looks like a little baby stadium next door.
Absolutely. So practice underway. We've already had our first round of untimed practice. The second round now underway. We've gone through a couple of groups for the 250 class, and we have riders back out on track. So let's take you down there and get you acquainted with the action. As long as we have bikes on the track, we'll get you the Kawasaki track map in just a bit, but we'll give you live action first, as this is the 250A group out there. Will Hahn, points leader. Although the last 3 races have gone Marvin Muskin's way, Will Hahn maintains a 6-point advantage.
Yeah, that's a slim 6 points you mentioned, Kevin. I mean, with tonight here in Houston and then next week in Minneapolis, these guys will have a couple-week break before they get to their final round in Las Vegas, as well as that East-West shootout in Las Vegas. So a lot of racing still to go in the 250 class.
Getting a look at Blake Wharton, Rockstar Energy Racing rider, number 13. Wharton feeling good today. Of course, a couple of weeks ago had the race win until that last lap. But Wharton recovered from that. I think Blake's the perfect kind of guy. It didn't seem like it really bothered him too much in his performance 2 weeks ago in Toronto.
No, he was okay. He got up on that podium in Toronto, had a pretty good ride. But, Texas is a home race for him, so he's got a lot of fans here in Texas. And, I think tonight he might be one of those guys that kind of, can win this thing and get in there and mix it up with Will Hahn and Marvin Muskin.
This track really rutting up. It was a little bit soft on track walk earlier today. You could tell that there would be some lines inside and out. There are some definite options in this track. A long rhythm lane that you just saw Blake Wharton go through, and then a series of 180s here, Jim. And you were saying you like the passing possibilities in these turns.
Yeah, I like the 180s because you can get underneath a guy. They're short straightaways, so it's just real quick. And the other reason why I like it is if you're leading it, you can kind of look over and see in some of those. And right behind him, that looks like that's Tyler Bowers. He's riding for Mitch Payton in the Monster Energy Pro Circuit, the 3-time AMSOIL Arena Cross champion. This is a great opportunity for Tyler Bowers to go out there and show what he can do in Supercross. I did an interview with him earlier, and his best finish in Supercross, he's had a lot of them, but it's only been top 5, a 5th place. That's all he could muster up, and he's got the bike now. This thing's capable of winning.
Well, and that top 5 came in his very first professional race down there in Atlanta in 2008. So Tyler Bowers, probably his best situation that he stepped into in a number of years. Did not know he was going to step into this situation, had no plans of it. And then Pro Circuit came a-calling, because Pro Circuit has been losing riders left and right through this season. And Justin Hill becomes the latest rider to go down with an injury, really through no fault of his own. He got landed on 2 weeks ago in Toronto. He's having some wrist issues, and he'll be a few weeks off the bike, but perhaps back for outdoors. Yeah,
it's just unfortunate. And before that, it was Dean Wilson. So Mitch is left without no guys to ride a motorcycle. And what better fit than like I said earlier, the 3-time AMSOIL Arena Cross champion, Tyler Bowers. And I like the fit because in Arena Cross, they ride a 250. So he's used to a 250. In years past, we've seen him on the Monster Energy Babbitt's Kawasaki Arena Cross. He'll come out and ride Supercross, but sometimes it's on a 450, sometimes it's on a 250, but I like where he's at right now. And you got to remember, last year in Houston, he didn't even get a chance to race here. He got knocked out in the heat race in the qualifying, and he didn't race anymore.
Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, that was down the start straight, and it turned into a cartwheel. If that was the race that happened for him, he was on H&H last year, then H&H. Now we're looking at Red Bull KTM's Marvin Muskin, 3-race win streak, and the first 3 races he's won in his career. This man is on a hot streak.
Yeah, for Marvin tonight, his main focus is just to stay ahead of number 19, Will Hahn, to gain more points. If they're back there in, 5th and 4th, that's 1 point. But if he can get up there and get a win, and he gets a 3rd, and maybe Tyler Bowers gets in the middle of them, that's a 5-point swing right there.
And Marvin has done it under some pretty difficult circumstances. Just a few weeks ago, he was in last place after the first turn, and then one race ago, 2 weeks ago, he crashed hard in practice over the bars and had to come back from that, and then had a great evening. So Marvelous Marvin, Magic Marvin, pick your nickname. It's all good for the 25 on the orange bike.
And he's been in this position before. We've talked about it a little bit with him winning the MX2 World Championship. He knows what it takes to win a championship. And Will Hahn, on the other hand, basically he's not a rookie, but he's a rookie at being in a championship fight. So we'll see what happens.
So Will Hahn, your points leader. Marvin Muskin sits in second. In third is Blake Wharton, so that's 134 points for Will Hahn. Marvin Muskin at 128, just a 6-point advantage. Remember, if they go Marvin Muskin, Will Hahn, 1 and 2 the next 2 races tonight and next week in Minneapolis, they will arrive in Vegas in a dead heat tie in the points. Blake Wharton has 108, so he trails by 20 behind Marvin,
which is okay. I mean, you look at that. He's
1
20,
race in.
He's not a race out yet. Anything can happen. Will Hahn, Marvin Muskin get together in the main event. They both go down. Wharton could be possibly leaving Houston, heading to Minneapolis next week with the point lead. So you never know. That's why you always got to keep fighting.
Just like any individual race, sometimes third place is a good place to be as the race is coming to a conclusion.
Yeah, especially in those last chance races.
That's right. Remember to like us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. If you /Supercross Live on any one of those social media services, odds are you will find us. We have a great show planned for you today. Of course, we will have 2 rounds of qualifying practice. We'll also have some guests. We're going to have Ashley Phillips join us, longtime floor announcer for Supercross.
Possibly Dean Wilson said he might try to make it up here.
Yep. Monster Energy Kawasaki rider Dean Wilson. Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki. There is Tyler Bowers once again. Bowers on that 68 bike. Well, the talk coming into this season, Jim, was all about how many riders Pro Circuit had. They had 6 riders. Now it's about how few riders they have, as 4 guys have been completely removed from the equation. Darren Durham, Justin Hill, Dean Wilson, and Blake Baggett all out. And the last 2 former champions in one discipline here.
Yeah, and you mentioned Darren Durham. I got a chance to talk to him a little bit about today and watch him walk, and he's still limping.
That Achilles injury, a tough one. Dean Wilson said he feels pretty good, although not back yet, still banged up.
There's 194. That's
Jackson Richardson.
Yeah, had a great ride a couple weeks ago in Toronto, a 9th place, the best of the season for him. But he missed a couple in the middle there, and I'm talking about that St. Louis and Daytona where he didn't get any points. He's sitting 18th in the points right now, but Jackson Richardson from Australia, a great ride, like I said, 2 weeks ago.
Richardson on that XPR Racing Honda, he has made 4 of the 6 mains this season in the 250 East. Will Hahn through that long rhythm section and then taking off on that jump. Now that jump right there in front of the mechanics area is slanted, Jim. The left side of it is much taller than the right side.
Yeah, I think most of the guys might want to try to square up a little bit, not try to hit that outside line, but you never know. You get in the heat of the battle, you're just going to pin it. Update
on the times. Will Hahn, his best lap was just faster than that last one you saw there, a 53.747. Holds down the top spot right now. And in second, Tyler Bowers. He looked good in the untimed practice, and he has continued it here in time practice number 1, 53.767. So just 2/100ths off of Hahn. Then it is Marvin Muskin, Blake Wharton, Gavin Faith, Jeremy Martin, Cole Thompson, Cantanzaro, Friese, Oldenburg, Kilbarger, Larson, Clark, Richardson, Freeberg, and Vincent.
There's Jeremy Martin right there, just going down. I don't know what happened there. He just made a little mistake. He was going through the whoops just kind of slow, and that definitely took the wind out of him. See if we can't get a replay of that. I mean, I don't know. That was a rookie mistake for sure.
Well, the whoops are long, and by the end, they are certainly big and deep. That section right there has been a tough spot for a lot of riders. So an area to watch there. The sand is also another area to watch. It is a small section, but quite deep, and we've seen several riders go down in that sand section, which is off to the right-hand side of the track from our vantage point. As you look at the 412 of Levi Kilbarger out of Logan, Ohio. Kilbarger drilling O'Neill Scott Honda.
That's that Monster Energy finish line right there, and that's actually where the starting line goes. It goes there in between the double jump at the finish line, which I think is pretty cool. They're actually going to use the face of the landing as a berm, to kind of slow the guys up when they go in there after the gate drops. There's Vincent Friese, number 42, had a good ride 2 weeks ago in Toronto.
Checkered flag has flown here on 250 Group A, practice number 1, qualifying practice number 1. Will Hahn, your top qualifier thus far, 53.459. So he's lowered the bar another 0.3 from where he was before. Tyler Bowers in second, 53.7. Then it's Marvin Muskin, Blake Wharton, Galvin Faith, Jeremy Martin, Cole Thompson, AJ Cantanzaro, Vince Friese, Mitchell Oldenburg, Levi Kilbarger, PJ Larson, or Peter Larson, depending upon what you read. And he's holding down actually both spots in 12th there for a moment. Scuba Clark, Zach Freeberg, Jackson Richardson, and Lance Vincent. Welcome back into our position. Kevin and Jim here. And Jim, Marvin Muskin's been on this tear. He's won 3 races in a row, but now we've taken a weekend off. If you're Red Bull KTM, if you're under the tent with Roger DeCoster and Marvin Muskin, how did you maintain the momentum through that off weekend, through the last 2 weeks, and also while getting ready for outdoor testing starting during that period?
Yeah, it's very hard, to keep that momentum for 2 weeks. Just kind of, a lot of the mechanics and Roger and everybody letting them know that, hey, man, you got 3 in a row coming into Houston. You get a chance to make it 4 in a row, and if Will gets second, you got a chance to get 3 more points. But, the other thing is to stay focused and not get hurt during that outdoor testing, and then you got to make sure you get the outdoor testing and be able to get back on that motorcycle and get some Supercross experience, because it's a lot of different settings, a lot of different riding styles than you do on outdoor versus indoor. So you want to make sure that you're back to your normalcy, and you're comfortable riding Supercross. But I think that Marvin will like the track here, in talking with him and stuff. He seemed to like the soil, and we'll see what happens.
450 A group getting ready to come out, and all these guys in the same boat where they're riding some outdoors and riding some indoors. I talked to Matt Gerke. He hasn't gone to his outdoor program yet at all.
Well as Brock Tickle. There's a lot of guys that I was surprising that you talked and mentioned that. A lot of guys sticking with Supercross. They'll say, you know what, I want to get through Supercross, and then I'll start outdoor testing, because it is very hard to get acclimated to an outdoor and then go back to Supercross.
Will guys have 2 bikes, one set up for Supercross, one set up for outdoors?
Oh, I mean,
the top teams, yes.
The top teams for sure. It's these guys, the privateers, that are on a budget, that they don't have that luxury of having, another bike, because you got to remember that this bike here they're racing tonight is their Supercross bike. Well, their practice bike back home is got Supercross settings on it, so you got to change everything over. Then you start testing, and it's hard.
Give me some of the major differences between a Supercross setup and an outdoor setup. I know stiffness is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, the suspension is the main thing.
Much stiffer for Supercross than outdoors.
Way stiffer. I mean, if you had Supercross suspension and outdoor, it's horrible to ride a motorcycle like that. And then the way the motorcycles hit, I mean, you got to remember that the outdoors, they have long straightaways where you need the bike to pull. Where here, you need the response right off of the bottom. And, a lot of guys set their motors up a lot differently than they would for a Supercross. The gearing, you want to run maybe a 49 in the outdoors to pull those long straightaways so you're not running out of gearing. And just things like that, and just little things that make a lot of difference, maybe on where their brakes set up or their shifters or, what grips they use, or what handlebars they use.
Justin Brayton there, JGR Toyota Yamaha. He's looked the best in the whoops of the first practice. I thought he did a great job getting through those whoops as he did there on this very first lap. Justin Brayton looking quite comfortable and certainly looking to improve on his results as of late.
Well, he's got to improve. That's the main thing. He's got to improve. He's still in that top 10 in the point standings, but he hasn't had the podiums that he had last year when he was riding that factory Honda.
Well, if you remember back to just San Diego, around that time, Justin Brayton was winning heat races. I remember him being up front in Anaheim during the third round that was held in that stadium. And all of a sudden, Justin Brayton shuffled back and finished 11th in Toronto 2 weeks ago. So Justin Brayton getting in some good laps early out front here in practice number 1, qualifying time practice number 1 for 450A group.
See, he's going to that outside and then he squares it off. And they took out a couple whoops. After that free practice, they took out a couple to make that inside line a little bit different. And it looks to me that everybody is going, exactly. It's less whoops. It makes sense. But some guys still like to rail that outside and, hit a couple more of those whoops.
Is it also a matter of momentum? It seems like you get better momentum now that they've flattened out those first couple on that inside line.
It is. I mean, that's the key, momentum. With a capital M, when you get into the whoops, you want to have that momentum entering into the whoops and staying up on top of them as you skim across them.
There's Mike Alessi coming off a 20th place finish in the main in Toronto, but one of a few riders to be making every main, although Mike has not had the results that certainly he had hoped for when it comes to the main events.
Well, and if my mind serves me correctly, I think that last year in Houston, Mike Alessi had a 4th here, if I'm not mistaken.
He did.
I mean, that was a good ride for him. He seems to like Houston. He likes the dirt. We'll see if Mike Alessi can possibly get a top 5. See, that way when Mike went into the whoops, he went to the inside. And he didn't have that momentum. The key is to go to the outside in that left-hander, get about right where the apex of the turn is, square it off, and drive off and get that momentum into the whoops.
11 riders in the 450 class have made every main event this year. A far different picture than we had last year in Monster Energy Supercross. Mike Alessi, one of those riders, although Mike Alessi finds himself 13th in points because he has finished in 20th 3 times. In that 20th spot inside the main. That coming in the first 2 races of the year and then our last week in Toronto.
There's Trey Kennard. Trey Kennard, a past winner here in 2011. I'm sorry, that's not Trey. That's Justin Barsha. But Barsha also has won here in the 250 class. So both the factory Honda guys have won here. Barsha in the 250 class and Trey Kennard in the 450.
All right, last year Justin Barsha came home in 2nd in that 250 East class. Ken Roxon picked up the win that evening. There is Andrew Short. Andrew Short coming off of his best finish on that BTO Sports KTM. Actually, not his best finish, his next to best finish, pardon me.
The key is that best finish, was that on a Honda or was it on a KTM?
Well, if you had to debate it 2 different ways. He's finished better on the Honda at Anaheim 3, Oakland, and Anaheim 1. And then he had Indianapolis, where he finished well a couple of weeks ago. Trying to do the conversion on the points here. Andrew Short coming home in 9th last week. I believe it would put him in 7th 2 weeks ago. Go back and look that up. They need a little points conversion chart when you're looking at the points there.
Well, not only did he have the ride with McGrath and Brooks, but then he did a couple rides where he was a privateer. He had to go out and buy his own equipment before he stepped up to that KTM ride.
NFAB Tylub's Bobby Canary there on the 39 bike. Canary continues to have a steady, strong season. Canary placed 15th 2 weeks ago in Toronto. Has made all but 3 mains. Currently 20th in points in the 450 class. There is Justin Barcia. Barcia 5th 2 weeks ago in Toronto.
But like I said, this guy in 2011 in that 250 class, even though he finished second last year to Ken Roxon, he has won here on that soil, so he likes it here. There's two examples of one guy going inside while Barcia's just kind of rolling it, but there goes Gerke. Hang on to it.
Yeah, this inside line, I've seen quite a few guys take the inside line there out of the whoops, which is unusual.
Gerke rips off a tear off there and going by the mechanics there. I'm not sure if he's happy with his setup. He kind of maybe second guessing whether he should have pulled into the mechanics there to get an adjustment.
Talked to Matt Gerke earlier. He said he just feels good. This is the healthiest he's been and the fastest he's gone. Credits the Canadian Motocross Series last summer, his success there with building confidence in his program and in himself. Now finds himself a part of the opening ceremonies.
Yeah. In that top 10, you get to come out for opening ceremonies in the 450 class. Barcia still behind Reed in the points. You know, I kind of found that interesting. Reed not riding here. Obviously had that knee surgery after Toronto. I'm sure that Justin Barcia will pass Reed in the points, but Reed still the top Honda.
A look at Weston Pike on the 46. Weston has made 4 mains in a row.
That means he can put a lot of money in the bank, because when you make the main events in a 450 class, you can make some money.
Weston placed 18th 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Weston Pike, a big guy. You know, we talk about it all the time. He looks like he should be playing for the Houston Texans, you know, as a middle linebacker. It's incredible. There's Dungey slipping into the picture now. Ryan Dungey. KTM had never won here in Houston. Ryan Dungey's got the opportunity to try to do that tonight, and most importantly, he's sitting about 22 down behind Villapoto in the point standings. He's got to start chipping away at that.
Speaking of Ryan Villapoto, he is your top qualifier at the moment, 53 flat, followed by Davey Millsap, 53.2, James Stewart, 53.2, and then Trey Kennard, 53.4. Guys moving around. Dungey just moved in with a 53.3, so Dungey moving up to 4th, pushing Kennard to 5th, and it's Brayton, Barcia, Gerke, Hill, Weimer, Pike, Tickle, Short, Blows, Alessi, Partridge, LeMay, Smith, Nicoletti, and Canary. Good to see Kyle Partridge back out there. He was limping around after a crash in the first practice, the untimed session. Good look at Josh Hill on the RCH Suzuki. Siquan Casino sponsored bike.
Josh Hill can't wait to get to Minneapolis. You know, we talk about it a lot on the broadcast, you know, when you go to a track, and that's where he got his first win in the 450 class, and I believe that was back in 08, so that's a long time ago, but I'm sure he's going to be happy to go to Minneapolis next weekend. But he looks good here in practice in Houston.
A couple of riders looking forward to next week in Houston. Tyler Bowers will have a 2-race deal with Pro Circuit, and of course Josh Hill, 3-race?
3 races, yeah. He's going to do Vegas. He's going to do Vegas for the Monster Energy Pro Circuit team.
Well, let's bring in a friend of the program who was in here a few weeks ago. Please welcome in Miss Supercross, Diana Dahlgren.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Diana.
Hello, how are you?
You're the only member of the crew that can pull off leopard pants.
I know.
I told Jimmy should try it, but he just wouldn't do it.
You got to get everyone to see the leopard pants.
Can you get me a set? Maybe I'll rock them next weekend.
See if you can get the matching bag that she has too, as well.
You gotta
leopard bag as well. You gotta rock that as well if you rock the leopard pants.
Wow, you go. Look out.
Everyone's a fan today, so that's good.
Very good. Well, Diana, thanks for coming in to sit and chat with us. And you're here early on, middle part of the day. You have meetings and everything getting ready for the night show.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I've been here since 10 a.m. and 9 a.m. and we come in, we do meetings, and we get ready for the day. And yeah, it's been great. I love it because now I'm not so much in the pits. I'm actually up here announcing more, and then at nighttime I'm also announcing much more than what I used to. So I'm excited. Love it. It's great.
Practice number 1 coming to a close. Checkered flag out. You saw Josh Hill finish up right there.
Yeah, it's so exciting to see Josh Hill, back up in the mix. I'm looking at, he's 9th, in this qualifying practice. That's amazing. For those of you who don't know a little bit about Josh Hill, he got into a pretty horrific accident screwing around one day doing some freestyle motocross for fun. And it's been years since he's won a Supercross race. I think the last one, might have been like San Francisco or something like that, 4 years ago or something like that. So just to see him back here and recouped and running top 10 in qualifying practice, that's just great.
Top 10 is Ryan Villapoto, 53 flat. That time stands for the first round. Then it's Millsaps, Kennard, Stewart, and Dungey in the top 5, followed by Brayton, Barsha, Gerke, Hill, and Weimer. That is your top 10. And then Pike, Tickle, Short, Blos, Alessi, Partridge, LeMay, Smith, Canary, and Nicoletti. We're rounding out that top 20. Welcome back into our broadcast position. And Diana, 5 races to go.
5 races.
And a good championship chase we have going here. Much different than last year's atmosphere where after tonight's race, it was Ryan Villapoto had wrapped it up and it was all over.
Right, exactly. It's been great this year because not only did you expect Ryan Villapoto to just come out on top and be like taking the pull from the get-go. We've had Millsaps running the red plate for quite a few weeks in the beginning of the season. Now it switches over to Villapoto. He just has this amazing talent to just come out of nowhere. The guy was 25 points down, and now all of a sudden he's leading the series. And
when you win 5 of 6 races and you win 4 in a row, that tends to close that gap pretty quickly.
I know, but when you have guys who are pretty consistent, like Millsaps, he really hasn't. He's been off the podium a couple times, but no really detrimental finishes that have kind of taken him a bad blow to his point standing. Actually, within the last couple weeks, he did have one. But yeah, for the most part, all the guys haven't gotten hurt. All of them are pretty healthy and being pretty consistent. So.
Yeah, just an injury a few weeks ago when he had that practice crash, messed up his knee, but he appears to have recovered from that. The last 2 races, he looked like Davey Millsaps that we saw early on in this season.
Right, exactly. And I'm going to be honest with everybody. I thought it was going to kind of be a story of winning Anaheim 1 out of nowhere, maybe taking a podium position in Phoenix and then kind of falling off. But he's just proven himself that he can run with these guys, and whatever he did on the offseason definitely showed huge improvement, and he can run with the big boys now.
Well, I think that's the key, Diana. He's run with the big guys before, but not consistently.
Right.
And this year, that's the difference with Davey Millsaps. He's doing it consistently, and he knows he belongs up there. And I think that all started, last year, even though when he finished second in the championship, but he gained a lot of confidence. And the guy I like that he's working with is Ezra Lusk. Ezra Lusk has been there and done that. I think that's a key.
And how much credit does Ezra Lusk get for Davey's ability or willingness to fight back inside of a race and also fight back from race to race, no matter the circumstances, whether it's injury or the way the last race went? It seems like Davey is able to recapture that aggressiveness. Is that Ezra?
I think it's 50% Ezra.
I think it definitely plays a huge part because he's worked with other trainers before and kind of wasn't consistent, wasn't as good, wasn't as charging, didn't have the stamina. These guys got to be lean, mean fighting machines and know it. And, in past years,
you know what else it might be as well as he's now a father. And many times you have athletes that become parents, and all of a sudden the sport, whatever it may be, becomes the second item in their life. And actually they get better at it because it takes some of the edge off, the pressure, the focus. You're not always in that world. And I've seen a lot of athletes have that happen to them where all of a sudden the track becomes their escape and the place where they can really just focus on the track at that point, and they don't obsess about it off the track because there's too much other stuff going on.
Not only you say an escape, so much stuff going on at home. That's just they maybe almost find the love of riding and
training.
Yeah.
There's nothing like changing diapers, or go riding my motorcycle.
Yeah, how did that affect your career, Jim? Did you experience that?
Well, no, I waited
until
I was already done with my career before I had kids because I don't know. I don't know. For some guys it works differently. Other guys it works to motivate. And for me, I didn't want the distraction of knowing my kids were around and being in the pits. I just didn't want to expose them to that.
450 beep qualifying practice underway. Justin Sipes leads so far with a 57.2. Then it's Albers, Gores, Green, and Parks, your top 5, although riders moving around quite a bit here early on. About 7 minutes remaining in this first session.
You mentioned Parks, a good qualifying for Teddy Parks up there, running in that 5th position right there. His dad, Ted Parks, does a lot for the privateers. I know Weston Pikes, Justin Sipes, they're all underneath that tent. I mean, there's probably 14 or 15 bikes that I counted underneath that tent that Ted Parks, just loves, getting the guys to the races. And at one point, PJ Larson, although we're calling him Peter because he's in that 250 class, he was under that tent in the start of the season, but then he's moved on. So he's really happy to see some of his guys move on and get better rides. But he's just all about trying to help the privateers and make them comfortable, and taking care of their bikes and making sure they got a good meal when they're here at race day and just helping out with everything.
Yeah, speaking of privateers, majority of our Group B and C riders are privateers, and people don't realize how hard it is to come out here being a privateer. Not only that, they're driving, they don't have all the factory, what would you say, factory...
semis.
Yeah,
secretary,
well,
support, just all the support.
Exactly, all the perks, there we go, perks of being a factory rider. And they make their way out here every weekend. You don't know what's going to go wrong, if they're going to get hurt, if they're going to have to replace a bunch of parts in their bike, So to have these support guys come out here like that and help the privateers is just amazing. And then even when they ride so well in practice and actually get a qualifying spot into the night show, it's just amazing.
That's the icing on the cake.
Right, it is. It's the icing on the cake for these guys that come out here to live their dreams, and it's great to see.
Well, and you got to mention that remember that also a lot of these privateers, some of the guys don't even get a chance to do the night show because they're not one of the 40 fastest to get into that program. So I mean, I'm a firm believer, man. The 3-digit guys, we need those guys, and we need them to get out here. And it's nice to see as we're watching Mr. Pipes right there, Dustin Pipes, and he's one of those guys that have been chomping at the bit to get into, the main event.
Pipes right now running 13th in this practice. Now, Ryan Villapoto is the multiple-time reigning champion of Monster Energy Supercross. And Diana, you're the multiple-time reigning champion of Miss Supercross.
Oh, well then.
Are you going to be back for another season next year?
I don't know.
What do you do during the summer? You have a whole summer off. You don't do the Lucas Oil Outdoors.
Well, during the summer, in the past couple of years, I've always did fitness competitions throughout the whole summer and fall. But this year, I won't be doing that. I'm not going to be doing any more fitness competitions. So.
Why is
that? Retired?
I'm retired.
Why is that? Just move on to something else?
These guys are amazing, how much they put their bodies and minds through, but they've grown with it their whole lives. And so I've done the whole fitness thing for the last 5 to 6 years, and it wears on you, like your mind, your body, everything. It affects you, kind of like you shut down your whole life to do these competitions. Just like how these guys, they don't really have a big life outside of motocross. Their life consists of riding, racing, and then they get a little off season. So
well, it was interesting. We actually flew back together from Toronto.
Right.
And Ryan Villapoto was on our flight, and he walked by. I go, dude, what are you doing and going to LA? I thought you were in Florida. He goes, I got some obligations I got to do for Kawasaki for 3 days. So, these guys forget about, everyone sees them out here and they figure, oh yeah, Sunday they can take off and this and that. They got a whole full schedule like Diana was talking about.
Right, exactly. So, you gotta give it up to these guys. They live and breathe this sport. It's not just like they get a couple days off, and they really, after they get done with Supercross, they go into the outdoor series, and then the outdoor series is so grueling, half hour plus 2 lap motos in the heat in most of the outdoor rounds. It's just insane. So they have to go put themselves through that, and then they get a little bit of a break for a couple months, and then but during, of course, that break, they're riding every week, and then they're testing for Supercross, and then that starts up.
Well, and we can't forget about, you mentioned that little break, the Monster Energy Cup on October 19th, $1 million right there. I mean, it's really not a break because the outdoor nationals finish up in September, and then boom, October you got that $1 million, and it's year round.
It's so funny because for the last couple of years that the Monster Energy Cup has gone on, it's really been a race for teams to showcase either new parts on a bike, or
new equipment,
new riders.
New
riders. Yep.
So it is. They're still working, once they get done with the outdoor season. Now they're testing out new things, and then they try it out at a Monster Energy Cup race to see how it is, and then they'll decide to run it for that next season of Supercross and Outdoors.
2 minutes to go here in practice number 1 for the 250 or 450 B group. Cody Gilmore, 374 on top of the 56.24. Right behind him is Justin Sipes. Then you have Sewell, Green, Stewart. That's Ronnie Stewart. And Pipes, Gores, Albers, Oswald, Schmidt, Entignap, Akaiden, Winterstrom, Parks, Strider, McKitty, Carlson, Maynette, Schneider, and Greco.
And these guys are going to have to step it up, really put themselves all out there to get the qualifying top spot in this group so that way they can make it into the night show.
You're watching number 64. That is Justin Sipes. Pooh Sipes, if you prefer.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, hey, I got to go to head off to the autograph signing at Monster Energy at 3 o'clock. So have fun up here.
Thanks for stopping by, Diana Dahlgren.
Thanks for doing the live broadcast for us. And see you guys.
All right, Diana Dahlgren and her leopard pants checking out here at Supercross Live. She can be seen in the pits. If you are coming to a Monster Energy Supercross, of course, 4 remaining after tonight. That will be Minneapolis, Seattle, Salt Lake, and Las Vegas. You have an opportunity to be in the pits, meet Miss Supercross, say hi to a lot of different riders and racing personnel that come week to week with the traveling circus that Supercross is. There is a 976, Josh Greco. Justin Sipes now leads 56.2, the fast time here in B for 450 class. Remember, you can follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/supercrosslive. You can also take some pictures if you are here, or if you're watching at home, enjoying Supercross Live. Go ahead and post a photo and put it at Supercross Live. You can ask us a question via Twitter, via Facebook. Just hashtag Supercross Live or SX on Speed, and you can ask a question of Jim Holley. Ask a question to me too, but Jim, you're really here to answer the pertinent questions.
The racing ones.
Any volleyball questions, I suppose I could answer those.
You could do those.
Very good. Well, welcome back into our studio position. You have an opportunity to see the track live. Let's give you an opportunity to see what the track looked like on the Kawasaki track map. This will give you a good idea of the layout that these riders will be hitting tonight. And Jim, take us through a little bit of this. This track map, pretty much what's on the floor.
Yeah, what we talked about is you're going to come out of the start, and this is the unique thing where you're going to make a left-hander, and it's in between the double jump on that Monster Energy finish line. After that, a couple little doubles into that right-hander, and then up and over this, just it's an easy double that leads you right into the 65-foot triple.
Yeah,
only one triple on this track, which I like that, a little step on, step off into the right-hander, into the sand. Relatively short. Then back across into the finish, the start line, but a 180 into the whoops like we talked about in the whoops. Treacherous tonight here. Long, deep, another right-hander after that. Another little double, use the face of the step on, double again. But some guys are tripling in this rhythm section and tripling into the corner. Another right-hander, you're going to go back across the starting line, a 180, which I like here. Back across the starting line again, and these are short little straightaways. Another right-hander back across the starting line, so that's 3 times in front of the starting gate, up and over a little double, and then up and over the finish line at the Monster Energy finish line.
And all these 180s you've said is a place to watch for passing, watch for guys driving in underneath of another rider and banging some bars looking for spots.
Well, and that's because of the fact that also the dirt here tonight is nice. I mean, you can get underneath a guy and you can drive in and you can brake hard, you can accelerate hard. It's not a blue groove track. It's going to be great racing tonight.
Yeah, it was hot last year when we were here in the 90s. This year it is in the low 70s, maybe?
Perfect.
Maybe upper 60s. We are inside Reliance Stadium, but it is nice to have a beautiful day for the pit party and everything going on outside before folks make their way in for the night show. And part of the night show will be Kevin Windham. And his transfer, he did it. It was huge, and he'll be back here on this program. We also have video footage we're going to show you in just a little bit of Kevin Windham practicing that transfer. Pretty awesome jump. What, 105 feet?
Yep, that's what Kevin said it was, about 105.
105 feet and probably 30 feet off the tarmac. Pretty cool stuff. We'll be back with more here on Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com.
Yeah, you can say my racing career has been a pretty sweet ride. Whether I'm out on the track or in the pits, I need a crew I can count on. That's why these guys are MMI grads.
At MMI, I got to train on the newest Honda bikes using the latest equipment. It was pretty intense, but it paid off.
Honda's the only bike that I ride, but MMI teams up with all the big boys. You work on the top brands and have the opportunity to earn manufacturer and dealer recognition. Sounds like a pretty awesome advantage to me.
Tell us why you deserve a $20,000 scholarship to MMI. Upload a 2-minute video to youtube.com/McGrath Scholarship by April 19th.
MMI, the official technical institute of Monster Energy AMA Supercross. So if you're into motorcycles and want to turn your love for bikes into a great career, check out MMI.
Downloaded the brand new Monster Energy Supercross mobile app yet? Get race info and results, buy tickets, watch videos, play trivia, and more, all right from your smartphone. Search Monster Energy Supercross on Apple iTunes or Google Play stores to download it for free today.
Welcome back to Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. Quite a few fans in the stands checking out practice. This segment is brought to you by Nuclear Cowboys. The 2013 Nuclear Cowboys Tour is in Ontario, California, back by our homes gym this weekend, and heads to Mexico City on April 13th and 14th. You can go to nuclearcowboys.com for more information. Remember, April 19th and 21st, they will be in Monterrey, Mexico, so a couple of Mexican dates, and then back up to the United States right here in Houston, the 27th and 28th of April.
Yeah, pretty cool. I was out with our camera guy, Dave Arnold, last night. We went into Walgreens, and I came up with this. The ad guys for Feld are doing a great job because they have this 25% off tickets right here for the Nuclear Cowboys that are be here on, like you had said, on the 27th and 28th of April. So that's pretty cool. You know, it's always neat to go into something like that and you see advertisement for Nuclear Cowboys or Supercross or whatever. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Walgreens has that, and we also have a code you can put in. If you use the password SAVE out there on nuclearcowboys.com, you will save $10 off your tickets for that event, the 27th to 28th.
Well, now I got to ask you, and we got to talk to our producer, Ryan. So if I can save 25% on this ticket, on this coupon, and I can do that, I can save another $10 off?
I think you can only use one.
Only one?
Yeah,
okay.
Producer Ryan saying you can only use one. I know, Jim, you're looking for a bargain.
Yeah, I'm always
you're working the angles, I know.
What's the best deal then, 25% off or the save with the $10 off?
We're going to have to do a little bit of math.
Depends on where you want to sit.
Yeah, a bit more expensive the ticket, you might be better off with Walgreens. Okay.
I'm going with that.
Well, hey, that's coming up in a few weeks here in Reliance Stadium, but tonight...
I just wish I could be there, but we'll be in Salt Lake that weekend.
I know. We're traveling here, we travel there. We're missing Nuclear Cowboys, but we will have Mike Mason later here on the show. Maybe we'll get an update on the Nuclear Cowboys AMA Supercross poll, Monster Energy poll that they have going there. So we have a track walk. Every morning when we're here at the racetrack, our day starts with a hit in the morning, about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Jim and I get here, along with our cameraman Dave Arnold, and we put together a preview of the morning of the race day. Then we have an opportunity around 11 o'clock local time to do the track walk with the riders and their teams. First opportunity for them to come out and view the track, and an opportunity for us to talk to them. So we had an opportunity to talk to several riders this morning. Here are some interviews and some thoughts on this weekend, how the season has gone so far.
Jim Holley, Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com, here with Brock Tickle of the RCH ride on that factory Suzuki 8th a couple weeks ago in Toronto. You've got a couple of them this season. I don't want to see you up in that top 5, man.
I know, you're not the only one. I mean, I've been, the team and I have been putting in a lot of work, and the class is tough this year. I think that for me, I just need to get a good start in both the heat race and get a good finish in the heat race and let it roll over to the main, get a good gate pick there, and give myself a shot on the start so that way I can be up there the first couple laps and break through away from some of the guys and kind of get in my comfort zone.
I got to go back early in the season, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was San Diego, man. You had a great start. You were up there at one point. You were running second, battling with the guys. Did you learn anything from that race that you're applying now?
Yeah, you know, then in San Diego, I just kind of panicked and wasn't ready for it, I guess. And now that we've gotten a bunch of races under our belt since then, been working on a bunch of speed stuff and stuff like that. So I feel like now if it happens, I feel like I can stay up there and possibly be in the top 5 at the end of the race.
You had a chance to walk the track here in Houston. Pretty cool start. I mean, you guys are in between the finish line doubles there in that first turn, and then I noticed a lot of short straightaways with a lot of 180s, a lot of opportunity to get underneath guys and move them out of the way.
Yeah, I like the way the track looks here in Houston. Last year, I think I got 7th here, so that was my best race last year. So looking forward to it. Had a good couple weeks. I've been actually down at Ricky's farm the last month, so had a good 2 weeks off after Toronto, and got some good riding in and training, and really looking forward to it. I mean, it's crunch time now, getting closer to outdoors. It's time to get things rolling so that way when we get in outdoors we can be ready to go.
You mentioned a couple weeks off and testing and stuff. Obviously that's outdoor testing as well as still testing for Supercross?
Actually, I haven't done any outdoor testing yet, so the last 2 weeks have been working with Jeannie Carmichael and Jeremy Martin and Les Smith and riding with Dungy and stuff. So it's been good, and really the last 2 weeks have been the best weeks I've had on the bike, and the biggest improvement and the most comfort I've had since we started racing.
We'll go out there, and I want you to collect, in that main event, I want you to collect $1,500 for that whole shot from Nuclear Cowboys. I want you to go out and lead a few laps and just relax, be comfortable out there, and try to get that thing on the podium in a top 5.
I think that sounds good.
Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. Track walk just finishing up, catching up with Slayton Racing's Vince Freezy. And Vince, 5th place last week, or 2 weeks ago now. How do you carry that momentum? You probably wish there was a race next week.
Yeah, I mean, I just I took that off weekend and worked hard and tried to go about it and be coming into this week knowing I worked harder than any of the other guys, and I think I did that, and hopefully it pays off this weekend. And we got these 2 more races left, and got that little break before Vegas, and 3 more rounds, and 5th in points right now. But I got Dean in front of me that he's obviously out, so shooting for a top 4 in points, and hopefully we can make it happen. I can keep that momentum going, and I've had a few 6th and a 5th, and hopefully keep building off of that, and maybe even get up on the podium before the end of the year.
You've been getting up front early and then going backwards just a little bit. How do you stay up front?
I mean, I think I'm a little bit better starter than any of these other guys, and even though I'm on, maybe my bike's not quite as fast, my starts are better, and that it's just showing because every weekend I'm starting up front, and those guys are still a little bit faster than me. Their bikes are a little bit better than me, so obviously they're going to go by me. 15 laps is a long time, and they're eventually going to slowly work their way by. But I feel like I've been doing the best I can, and I'm pretty happy with it.
And Marty Smith over there working with you. What does conversation with Marty look like? Do you talk to him about his experience as a racer?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Marty's definitely been a big influence on why I've done so well this year. He's helped me out a lot, and given me all kinds of pointers, and really helped me kind of guide me in the right direction to do what I got to do, and give me a lot of extra confidence and everything on the bike and stuff like that. So I've really enjoyed working with him, and hopefully we can keep it going.
In 2 weeks' time, we're going to see you back on the 450?
I think so. Yeah, I'm still kind of finalizing my plans and everything, seeing how these last couple of 250 rounds go. But yeah, I'm planning on doing the Salt Lake and Seattle on the 450.
This is always an interesting transitional time for riders as they look towards outdoors but still are racing Supercross. Where are you in that? How much are you riding of each?
I honestly haven't started riding outdoors at all yet, but I'm looking to start going in the next week or two. I think maybe after Minneapolis I'll start really kind of focusing more on outdoors and get doing motos and getting ready and getting a bike prepared.
Is there a certain part of the track here tonight that you've seen that you think benefits your style?
I think definitely these flat turns and these wide open sections with the turns and no jumps. I seem to struggle a little bit in the rhythms and on the jumps, and I think a lot of the other guys they're a little bit better at staying low on the jumps than me, and that's kind of the one spot that I'm lacking. So I'm pumped for these switchbacks and these turns, and I think that's where I'll really be able to make up a lot of time.
Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. Track walk time, catching up with RCH's Josh Hill. And Josh, we're coming to the end of the season here. It has to feel good to still be in it and be healthy.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool because haven't done it in 3 years, but I definitely have like bigger goals for myself than that, just to be riding around. So hopefully I can break the top 10 or even further before the series is up.
Yeah, where were your goals coming into the season? And now it seems like top 10 is a goal, but how have your goals shifted throughout this year?
Before I got hurt coming in, my goal was to be top 10 every weekend, and it hasn't really happened. I basically got released from the doctor and then just started racing, and I've had to just kind of race myself into shape. I feel like I'm healthy now and I'm ready to go, but last couple weeks I just haven't been able to put it together. So hopefully this is the weekend where I break through and get back up to where I know I should be.
Have you been able to change your program through the year as you've gotten a little bit healthier and your body started to feel better?
Well, I mean, my program was solid coming into this year. I felt killer, and then it just when I started racing again back in San Diego, I rode 2 days and then just tried to ride. So I mean, I was still in some pain riding when I first came back and wasn't able to put a full program together. But the last couple weeks, 3 weeks, it's been fine. It's just got to get back into that race pace, and getting up where I belong and putting a solid 20 in every weekend. And biggest thing I've had is just like qualifying problems. I haven't even gave myself a chance to have a solid ride in the main because I've been starting on the outsides and having bad heat races. So I got to get through all that just fine.
How do you change that around? How do you get a better qualifying effort?
I think you just man up and go fast. I don't know. You just twist your throttle a little harder than I have been.
Simple stuff?
Simple stuff. It's not rocket science. We're just riding circles. So.
You're here in Houston this week, but next week you're going to Minneapolis, site of Supercross victory that you had, right? That seems like a friendly place and a good place to look forward to.
Yeah, trying to start a streak there. No, I hope I can just go out there and have a solid race. I liked the track back in 2008, the last time they ran there, and it went well for me. And hopefully I can just go out there and just I don't know, man. I'm not worried about any of that. I'm just worried about going and just having solid motos, putting in solid laps, and getting up where I know I belong. And 12th, 13th place isn't where I feel I belong.
You've had an opportunity to look around this track. There's a lot of 180 bull turns. We're standing in one right now. What are your perceptions of how the night is going to play out?
Everybody's going to be going for it. There's going to be a lot of bar banging because everybody's going to come in with a lot of speed. The track looks killer. I mean, we haven't ridden it yet, so we'll see how it plays out, but it looks good.
Jim Holley, Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. Well, look, Tyler Bowers, the 3-time AMSOIL Arena Cross champion. You get the ride with the Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki team here in the 250 class.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's just been, it's exciting, Mitch gave me the call, and I was sitting there on the couch. I was like, uh-oh, now we got to get to work. So, I was kind of taking a vacation after the Arena Cross was over. I was planning on doing Supercross anyways. However, I broke my collarbone before the end of Arena Cross, so I wasn't able to ride and train during the week, so I decided to kind of take it off. And just in time for it to be healed up at the end of Arena Cross, Mitch gave me the call and said, hey, why don't you come ride on one of our Pro Circuit bikes? I said, can't pass this up. So I got up off the couch and we went to the track, started riding, started training, and I'm pretty excited about this week in Houston. Last year it didn't go so well for me. I ended up getting knocked out before I even made it to the first turn. However, I loved the track, so I'm really excited for the dirt here. The track layout looks awesome. Big whoops, big jumps, big rhythm sections, bowl turns, so I'm really looking forward to the weekend here.
Something else in your career, the best you've had is fifths. I mean, you've had a plethora of fifth places, but now it's time possibly a podium. You got the bike now. I know that's a big thing, that you got to have a great bike, and Mitch builds a great bike.
Yeah, just like you said, it's a great bike. Not only that, we've got a great team behind us here. Bones is at the track with me all day. We got done the first day we worked together was Friday last week, my birthday. I got up early in the morning, went over to the track. Was at the track 9:30, 10 o'clock. We were riding. Got done at the track about 6:30 p.m. The sun's going down, so that's a nice little day of testing. So it's good to have such a good group of people behind me that are willing to work so hard. The guy that's my mechanic this weekend, Ollie Stone, he worked with Justin Hill before this, and he's great. He's always running around the track fixing things. He's always all over my bike grooming. Like when we do starts, he's all over the starts. So it's good to have a hard-working group of people behind me. And I had such a good group of people behind me in Arena Cross, and now carrying that over into Supercross with this group, it just elevated everything. So I'm really excited about this weekend, and like you said, hopefully I can break that fifth place curse I've got.
This is a 3-race deal. You got this weekend, and then you got next weekend Minneapolis, then a couple weeks off maybe to get a little bit more acclimated to the bike, and then you got Las Vegas. But this is a great opportunity for you to go show that, hey man, I deserve a Supercross ride for next year in 2014. Is that kind of what you're thinking of?
No, not really, because actually I just signed this year during Arena Cross. I signed with Babbitt's for the next 2 years. So right now I think that was one of the biggest decisions for Mitch himself. He knows that I already have a thing for Arena Cross next year, and this is something hired gun. He needed a guy. I was done with my series, and I'm able to come in, finish these races, and then go back to my other job for next year. So it's good. It's good to have a good showing, and it's good to have, like I said, a good team behind me, a great bike. I feel comfortable on the bike already. I've only had a few days on it, and it's an amazing bike. It tracks so well and it handles so good, and I'm just excited to come out here, try to pull some hole shots, and go from there.
Welcome back into Supercross Live here on supercrossonline.com, and welcome to everyone here in the stadium. Glad you're getting a chance to come out to a Monster Energy Supercross event, and you want to know that this show goes on every race day from 2 to 5 local times. We'll have 4 remaining after today. We'll be in Minneapolis, and then in Seattle, Salt Lake, and Las Vegas. Hi, everybody. Kevin Barnett and Jim Holley taking you through yet another race day. And Jim, a lot of interesting stuff there, particularly from Tyler Bowers, who, of course, is the 3-time defending AMSOIL Arena Cross champion and now finds himself on a bike here for Mitch Payton. What are some of the challenges you think that Tyler Bowers is going to face and the differences between Arena Cross and Supercross?
Well, I think like he had talked about with the flat turns and the 180s, those are a lot like Arena Cross where you can get underneath somebody and push him out of the way. I think that he's going to like that. And you hear him talk a little bit about the dirt. He likes the dirt here. Just unfortunately here last year he didn't get a chance to compete because of that crash in the first turn. But I thought it was interesting that he kind of broke the news. He will be back in Arena Cross
2 more years.
Babbitts, 2 more years. And he is a 3-time AMSOIL Arena Cross champion. Maybe he can make it 5, but
do you like that career move? Do you like staying in AMSOIL Arena Cross because he is the king there? He is the big fish in the little bit smaller pond, or would you want to see him move over to Monster Energy Supercross full time?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I think I'd like to see him in Supercross. I think that it gives other guys an opportunity to move into the Arena Cross and like you said, become a king. I mean, 3 years already he's won that championship over there, and to move over to Supercross, I think it's a good fit. But that's his decision, and he opted to 2 more years over there, so that'll be great. He's got something to shoot for. He can try and be a 5-time AMSOIL Arena Cross champion. But 3 years here, I mean, a 3-race deal here. You got this weekend, and then you got next weekend Minneapolis, a couple weeks off like we talked about, and then Vegas. But you never know. I mean, if he puts in some great rides and gets a couple wins for Mitch, maybe Mitch will throw him in the outdoor with Dean Wilson on a 450. Who knows? So, I mean, it's just anything can happen, but I know Mitch rewards the guys if they go out there, and if he can get a couple wins for him, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, how about expectations for Bowers? Is it the same as it is with every rider who gets himself on a pro circuit ride that you're going to win races, or is it slightly reduced for these 3 races, although Tyler Bowers, 2nd place in practice number 1?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's going to be like, hey, he just got on the bike, he doesn't have that much time. I mean, I think that when Mitch hires you, he expects results, and I think Tyler knows that. And what better way to start out, and riding Mitch's bikes and getting a podium. That would be great, because that would be a plus for Mitch Payton, but also a plus for Tyler Bowers, huge for his confidence, because the best he's ever done in Supercross is a 5th. So then you can build on it next week for Minneapolis, possibly get a win there, who knows. And he could be that spoiler in between the middle and take a lot of points away from Marvin Muskin or Will Hahn. Those guys are only separating 6 points, and like you said, second in the time practice, if he gets in the middle there. So, but I think Mitch would want him to just go out and try to win.
Probably the best bike that Tyler Bowers has ever been on. Remember, this show is on 2 to 5 local time every race day. You have an opportunity to watch it on supercrossonline.com. We want to make sure we thank Motorcycle Mechanics Institute, big supporter of this program, and they do in fact have an opportunity for you, the fan, if you're looking for a career as a motorcycle mechanic in a variety of different areas. You could end up being here and being a factory mechanic, being on a race team. You could end up in a shop. There are a lot of different avenues you can go. Go to youtube.com/McGrath Scholarship today and upload a video of you doing something creative and explaining why you should win the $20,000 McGrath Scholarship. And the winner, in fact, will be selected by the champ, Jeremy McGrath. When it comes down to it, they will give him 10 videos and ask him to choose the winner. So that's an opportunity for you. Rap, read a poem, make up something funny and fun. Get noticed on youtube.com/McGrath Scholarship.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, a scholarship, $20,000 scholarship to do something you love. I mean, I know all the mechanics out in the pits, they enjoy, preparing the bikes for the guys. But something else that we had talked about earlier that a lot of the people here and the fans that are watching practice is make sure they come back on the April 27th and 28th here to Reliance Stadium, because the Nuclear Cowboys will be here. Unfortunately, we'll be in Salt Lake City that weekend, but for the people here, if they haven't seen an exciting show, I mean, what a great theatrical production that is, that Nuclear Cowboys, and it will be here. And like we had talked about, I mean, they're normally in arenas, but I mean...
Right, they're in or basketball stadiums in many cases, really small arenas.
Yeah, so I think that, they got a chance to do some exciting stuff here in Reliance Stadium with the size of this stadium. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, Nuclear Cowboys, a fantastic show. Now, let's take you back to last year, give you a review of what happened in this stadium just 1 year ago. It was a heck of a night with a lot of racing action, including a championship getting clinched. Here is last year's review, 2012 Reliance Stadium, Houston.
For the 46th time, the gate would drop in Houston. But before the main event, the crowd at Reliance Stadium was treated to some early fireworks in one of the night's heat races as Kevin Windham and a returning James Stewart went head-to-head.
Here comes Windham. Way up on the gas with a great move. Stewart into this fast sweeper. He's got the inside line again. Windham back on the gas to the whoop section. Windham able to hold on, but for how long? Closed up. Oh. Stewart through the whoops, right up the inside on Windham.
In the final lap, however, a stunning turn of events shocked the close to 49,000 in attendance.
Could Windham trying to make a run out of here? Can he make a charge? Oh, Windham over the bars! Windham was coming right after him and goes over the bars.
The result of the crash, a separated shoulder that would prematurely end Windham's season. As the main event got underway, Ryan Villopoto was on the cusp of history. He was only minutes away from becoming the 5th rider ever to win back-to-back titles.
Gate drop from Houston right now! Who's going to get the Nuclear Cowboys hole shot? How about Davey Millsaps on the 18? Villopoto wants that title. Here he goes, right into the lead.
After his heat race victory, Stewart was rising through the track with some aggressive riding, taking out Kyle Regal and putting himself in contention. However, in lap 7, things would take an unfortunate and startling turn.
He's got his work cut out for him. There he comes. He sits in 9th, and down he goes. James Stewart is down. That's going to wrap up the championship.
Goes to triple on and goes a little far. We talked about that earlier. Remember, I made the note that if you go a little too far on that, your front wheel will drop.
Villopoto was in cruise control as he put himself in the record books in style, winning his 8th race of the season and 3rd in a row.
When it comes to riding dirt bikes, no matter what the discipline has been for the last year and a half, nobody has been better than this man. The 2012 Monster Energy AMA Supercross FIM World Championship goes to the Monster Energy Supercross rider, Ryan Villopoto. He will be #1 again.
Never in 38 years had someone clinched the title so soon in the season. Villopoto became the first rider since Ricky Carmichael in the 2005 and 2006 seasons to win back-to-back championships.
It's unreal. It's to make it 2 in a row, it's pretty amazing. That's all I can say is thank you to my team. You couldn't do it without them.
An incredible season for Ryan Villopoto just 1 year ago, and of course, unfortunately, he suffered that ACL injury the following week in Seattle after wrapping up the championship. A good thing he had it wrapped up here. It wasn't good for the fans of the sport who wanted to see a chase to the end, and we may get that this year. I want to bring into Supercross Live for the first time this season.
Hey guys,
Ashley.
how are you?
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Thanks
Ashley
for having
Phillips,
me.
longtime floor announcer. How many years have you been traveling on Monster Energy AMA Supercross?
This will be my 5th season this year, actually. So we're having a lot of fun. 2013 has just been incredible racing. I can't say anything else about it. I mean, it's just been fun to watch the championships develop, and especially I tend to focus on the 250 riders. Lurch does the 450 riders, and it's just a lot of fun this year. There's only 6 points in the East Coast, 17 in the West Coast. It's unbelievable.
When you're getting those riders just after the heat races or just after the mains, how difficult is it sometimes to get information from them? I mean, they're just coming down from, especially after the mains, a really hard bit of work for about 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit difficult, but I think what they have so much emotion as 250 riders, they're not quite closed off yet. So a lot of times that's the best part, is that they have this emotion. It's really raw. They get their first ever heat race win. So sometimes you just can't get them to stop talking, and they just say so much. And I have a lot of fun just learning from them and seeing what they say to their mechanics and learning how they approach the track, because each week it's different and they're just learning. And a lot of the 250 riders are rookies coming into the season, so it's pretty interesting.
Who's the easiest rider to talk to?
Ooh, man, that's a hard question.
I could ask you who the hardest was, but you don't want to say that. Who's the
no,
easiest
absolutely
to talk
not.
to?
I think Marvin's really, really easy to talk to because he just has so much passion for the sport, and you can tell he just loves to be here. So I thought maybe the language barrier might have something to do with it before he came over, but he's just so easy to talk to, and he's really passionate about what he does, and he comes out and he talks about the track. He talks about which corner he thought he wasn't good in, and then he is like, oh, I was so bummed for Blake Wharton because he actually felt bad for him. He's not real close off, so he's pretty easy to talk to.
Now, you have a pretty long background in this industry, not just 5 years here as the floor announcer. You were also Miss Arena Cross.
I was Miss Arena Cross, from 2006 to 2008. I was Miss Arena Cross, so I dabbled in that a little bit, and it was a lot of fun. The AMSOIL Arena Cross series is quite a bit smaller, shorter lap times, but the competition's amazing, and the way you have to make passes. I mean, you have to get in there. Jim knows this. You have to get in there, and you have to make an aggressive pass, which I love that. So, I mean, bringing Tyler Bowers in this weekend is going to mix it up a lot.
Yeah, and it was interesting when we did that interview with him. I didn't know he had signed another 2-year deal, so he'll be in the AMSOIL Arena Cross 2 more years, and I thought that was pretty, cool. I don't know. I think after 3 years, maybe come to Supercross. I mean, he's got a lot of talent, and we'll see what he can do here tonight. Hopefully, he can get Mitch his first win. Second win on that East Coast, because Dean Wilson got the first one.
When you came to the job of being an announcer, what was the most challenging part for you, being expected to be a huge part of the night program and entertain the crowd in between not just rider interviews, but also when it comes to a lot of sponsor programming?
I think sometimes it's hard because your mind gets going faster than your mouth sometimes. So you get your sentence going, and all of a sudden your mind goes, oh, you have to say that. So you have to sort of collect yourself, and you just can't just spew it all out at once. So you have to think about what's happening on the track. You have to look at the advertising, like the Toyota turn, the Monster Energy triple. So it's fun to incorporate the entire aspect of it all, but I'm such a race fan that sometimes I get so into it, and I'm like Ricky Carmichael. I start hitting everyone next to me because it's so fun to watch the racing, and I'm a really passionate person. So
well, I wanted to ask you, it was a few weeks ago when Kyle Peters got his first podium. It's got to be pretty cool to see a rider come up and do his first interview on the podium.
Yeah, it is really neat because it hasn't really sunk in. Even when Will Hahn had his first win of his career this year, it hasn't really sunk in, and they sort of just talk and say, I couldn't be here without my team. I couldn't do this without, all my support. And then all of a sudden they go, I just got my first podium. I can't believe it. So Kyle Peters was a lot of fun to interview a couple weeks ago, and unfortunately he had a practice crash over the break, so he's not going to finish off the season with us. But it's just, there's nothing quite like the emotion you get from the guys when they get their first podium. I mean, even James Stewart getting his first podium of 2013, that emotion was back.
Yeah, something else that's pretty cool is Dave Prater, the director of Supercross, doing a track walk with a lot of these people to get the opportunity to walk the track, and that's pretty cool when you're down there and you get a chance to see that, because a lot of people don't realize when you're up in the stands and you look down, it looks easy. But when you get out there and you start walking the track and you see how steep the faces of the triple are and you start pacing things off, wow, these guys are jumping this far. Wow, that's 70 feet and they're 30 feet high in the air.
Yeah, it is neat. I take it for advantage because I'm down there all the time. But every once in a while I'll come down, and actually every weekend I probably come down and take a look around. And this weekend what I really noticed was the whoops are extraordinarily big for the season, and also where they're standing is the finish line. And it is probably about, I'd say, 10 foot longer than what we're used to. And also there's that gap. You don't see any of the tough blocks between the two. So I think it makes it a little intimidating for these guys. You saw in the first round of practice, they weren't quite jumping it right away.
They were casing it. They were over jumping. And Kevin had alluded to the fact that some guys over jumped. I said, well, that's because they did the track walk this morning at 11, and they realized that the first turn went in there. It's a little bit wider. The jump's a little, well, I better hit it a little harder. And unfortunately, a couple of guys went a little bit far.
Yeah, that's a long one. Anytime you see the folks on the track walk taking pictures, you know that's a particularly interesting part of the track. And actually, you mentioned earlier the fact that you're a fan, and people forget that about most of us here that do the announcing. We're also fans. We enjoy coming to the race each week and being a part of it and finding a reason to cheer for pretty much anybody. I find that when we're watching the race, Jim and I are sitting together, and whoever's leading, we're pounding on the table and talking about that guy and why it'd be cool if that guy won. And because we're supposed to be impartial, we end up cheering for everybody, and you find a reason to cheer for everybody. How do you manage some of the relationships you have through the motorcycle industry along with your job to be impartial as an announcer?
Well, you know, it's kind of our job to be that way, like you just said, and I think that you can't ever take advantage of the fact that sometimes other riders will open up more to you than some more closed-off riders, and I think as long as it's a good race on the track, I'm happy, because I just like to see them out there racing, and I can't be partial to anyone because they tend to open
Oklahoma.
up. Yeah, even maybe a little bit. I have to say I am a Trey Kennard fan.
Well, I was going to say that, you know, you're so good looking that, you know, they're going to open up to her as opposed to me and Kevin. They're not going to give us that stuff.
On occasion.
Yeah, people may not know your background and where you live now. You live in Oklahoma and with Robbie Renard.
Robbie Raynard, yep.
Raynard.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember which way it was.
All the time.
But you get an opportunity to see a lot of these guys from Oklahoma train, whether it's Trey or Jimmy Albertson or Justin Bogle. You get an opportunity to see these guys up close each week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I have been able to see them since they were amateurs. I mean, Trey Kennard and I have been friends since he was a little chubby guy on 80s, and it's so fun to see.
Trey Kennard was chubby when he was little?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
He was chubby. And Robbie always tells the story that he would go over every finish line and just do no-footers every time he went over the finish line. So there's a testament of how much he just absolutely loves his motorcycle. I mean, if it's not already completely obvious from what he's been through, and to come back. And so I have a relationship with a lot of the riders in Oklahoma because I see them every week, and, you know, I eat dinner with them and everything. But I just can't pick a favorite. I mean, I do love Trey, but I think everyone loves Trey. He's a good guy.
Can you give us a little insight on Justin Bogle, how he is? I would have thought maybe he would have tried to come, but obviously that injury still taking a little bit longer.
Yeah, absolutely. When he first had the injury, it was the day before New Year's. So he knew for sure that he had broke his scaphoid in his right hand, and he went up and had the surgery right away up in San Francisco. But they realized later that he had a dislocation of his left wrist as well. So that's what's mostly holding him up. And he's doing therapy with Dr. G, and the team is just stuck behind him 100%. They said, just don't push it. Come back for outdoors. Don't push it for Supercross. Why race 2 races if you're not healthy? And it's easy to forget that he's just a sophomore this year. So only 1 year under his belt with Supercross, and he learned a lot last year, and he's come a long way. So he should be really 150% by the time Hangtown comes around.
Take us through a typical day for you here at an event. It's not just about the night show where you're featured doing the podium interviews, but there's a whole bunch of stuff going on during the day, even during practice when we're up here running our show.
Yeah, absolutely. We start with a meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then we go through the track walk with the riders like you guys do and get interviews, and you want to sort of get the insight from the riders about what they think of the track, where do they think the passing is going to happen, and how they think it's going to develop. And then you just have practice. We do a lot of announcing during practice, and then you go out to the pits and you try to get the stories. You try to get that
dig up some dirt.
Yeah, it's all about the dirt. And I'm not talking about the stuff on the racetrack. So it's fun, but you know, a lot of them don't really want to tell you that something has happened or throughout the week. Like earlier in the season when Dean Wilson had that hard crash, he later posted a picture of his helmet and his face on Instagram, but he didn't say anything. And I talked to him for probably 30 minutes before the races had even begun. And then in the podium interview, he said, yeah, I had a tough practice crash early this week. So it's kind of hard. Sometimes you have to squeeze it out of them, but it's fun.
Now, each rig kind of has its own little mentality or its own vibe going. What are the good rigs to go to if you're out in the pits looking for information? Who's going to give you the information?
I think that you have to pry it out of all of them because they're sort of closed off and everything. And I think it's important to build a relationship with the entire team, not just the rider, because the entire team is what gets the rider to the place that they're at. So I always talk to the mechanics. I always talk to, you know, even the truck drivers. I talk to, you know, the team managers and everything, because once you talk to everyone, they sort of learn to trust you. And there's some things that you learn that they kind of don't want you sharing with the public. And, you know, you want to make everything out there for everyone to hear how difficult their day has been, but also you want to have that respect for the rider and what they don't want out there to the public. So I don't know. I think it's just about earning trust of the riders.
Yeah, it was funny in Will Hahn's second win in St. Louis. We always do the AMSOIL podium interviews, and I was looking around for Will, and he wasn't there. And that's when they had in the 450, they had the restart. So during that restart, when they did the single file, when Kyle Chisholm and Matt Gerke got together, I'd ran back to the pits. And he was in his truck getting undressed. I go, oh, you forgot the interview. He goes, oh, I'm sorry. And he runs back out to get it, you know. It's just, but he goes, oh, I forgot, you know, and that was his second win. You know, you get caught up in that. And, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, everybody thinks that, you know, we're here and we're fans and we all ride and we all love the sport. But we're here working, you know, and you kind of forget that. You know, everybody thinks, hey, can you talk? Well, no, I got to go to work, you know.
It's true.
Do you ride?
I do, actually.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah. I don't go above a 150, so I can't handle the 250 horsepower and much less a 450. But I can handle the 150 around a little bit. I don't ride quite as much as I used to, but I'm really getting into mountain biking, and I probably got 100 miles on the road bike last week, and I do running and everything like that. So I'm a very active person. I don't have too many dirt bike skills, but I can get out there and have some fun.
You can run it up under Robbie, give him an elbow or something, right?
She grew up in northern Nevada, so of course she learned how to ride when she was young.
Yeah, absolutely. There's it's a mecca for riding and snowboarding and just being outdoors. So I'm happy if I'm outdoors, and even better if I'm at a Supercross race, I guess.
How about up at Lake Tahoe? I know they got those beach volleyball. You get into that because that's what Kevin's into.
Yeah, I think I could give him a run for his money. I'll just go for his knees. I know how to take
don't.
you down.
They've taken enough punishment.
No, so yeah, Lake Tahoe, I grew up right there. It's one of the wonders of the world. It's beautiful. It's breathtaking, like I said.
Yeah, the first time I ever went there, I understood the magic of why people really always talked about Lake Tahoe and the vision that is a very unique place. And lucky to have been there. Ashley Phillips, thanks very much for stopping by our show. I look forward to listening to you as always throughout the night program and interviews and all the information that you bring to the fans.
Well, I could stay up here all day with you guys and just talk racing. This is a lot of fun.
Cool. Thanks.
All right.
We'll be right back here on Supercross Live, supercrossonline.com. We still have a practice qualifying session number 2 coming up for all the different levels, as well as lots of different features. Kevin and Jim, right back.
Want to stay up to date with Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship? Then follow all the action of Supercross on Facebook and Twitter. Get real-time updates and stay current on all the Monster Energy Supercross news. Comment on our Facebook wall and tweet us using hashtag Supercross Live. Watch videos from every city during the 2013 Supercross season on YouTube and share your photos on Instagram with hashtag Supercross Live. All season long, our Supercross fans can connect with riders, ask them questions, and even get info from the riders with exclusive information before all the big races. Be sure to check out Monster Energy Supercross on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for exclusive content that you won't find anywhere else.
Welcome back to Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. This segment brought to you by the Cross Club. Do you want to be first to buy 2014 Monster Energy Supercross tickets? If so, become a Cross Club member for free and be the first to buy on Monday, May 6th. That's Monday, May 6th, right after the conclusion in Las Vegas. You can log on to supercrossonline.com today and become a member. Welcome back in studio, Kevin Barnett and Jim Holley. And Jim, in the 450 class, we are missing Chad Reed this week. Had a little bit more work done on his knee, but he's expecting to be back fairly quickly.
Yeah, I think next weekend in Minneapolis. I mean, he felt that he could come back here in Houston, but he said, why push it? You know, he's actually sitting fourth in the championship, and he just said, you know, sit this weekend out, but hopefully we'll see him next week in Minneapolis.
All right, last year you saw the number 14 going fast up front there, battling with James Stewart until that nasty crash, and actually that crash, one of the reasons that Kevin Windham cited, saying that was one of the crashes that really made me start to think about retirement. Of course, Kevin Windham announcing his retirement early this season, but he's still with us. He'll be here on this show in a little while during that second round of practice, but he also still entertains the fans in the evening with those big transfers. We had an opportunity to watch him earlier today. Let's take a look at how this transfer went. This is what you're going to get an opportunity to see if you're in the arena. If you're in the stadium tonight, you're going to see 105 feet, and a good shot of that from behind. He's a good 35 off the deck.
Yeah, it's a pretty incredible leap that he has, using the face of the finish line, jumping across a whole lane and landing on the downside of the triple there. But Kevin makes it look easy, you know, but he puts a lot of time and thought. You know, he gets with the Dirtworks guys, and you know, there it is at speed, and you know, just kind of floats it up and across there. You know, it's pretty cool. And a lot of people after the track walk, you know, there's Brian Kalma's mechanic, a lot of the Dirtworks guys happy and to see that, and Kevin enjoys doing that.
It's become a show in and of itself, and actually we'd asked them before if they're going to build special parts of the track, and if you look out just behind the finish line jump, you will see a little special ramp that he uses to transition onto that finish line jump. So there are now the Windham parts of the track.
Well, and you know, Kevin's the type of a guy where, you know, he wants the racing to be good. We actually saw him after one of the practices down there with the Dirtworks guys and the shovel and the whoops. You know,
he's working. He's now a consultant.
Yeah, you know, he just wants to make the racing good for everybody, and you know, make sure everybody's safe out there. But it's great. It's cool during open ceremonies. All the videos that Feld Motorsports puts together and stuff with, you know, not only you know, with Windham, but with, you know, all the guys. The Villapoto one, they got some new pieces.
There's a good one with Davey Millsaps coming up.
So I mean, it makes opening ceremonies, and then with all the pyro going off and stuff, it's very cool.
It's all about streaks coming in here to Houston after the week off for Easter. Marvin Muskin has won 3 straight, and Ryan Villapoto has won 4 straight. What do you think can derail Ryan Villapoto? He just looks like he's going to take yet another championship.
Well, it was interesting when we saw what happened here last year. You know, he collected the win up here last year, and that was his 8th win of the season. He's got a chance to do that again. He's got 7 on the season. If he wins here tonight, that's 8. He's right, you know, on par. The only thing that he is not going to do tonight is, you know, clinch that championship. I believe that championship's going to go all the way down to Las Vegas, and you know, if Davey Millsaps can derail him and get a win here, and 3rd win for Davey Millsaps, if he can do it here in Houston, you know, and then that'll drop the points down to 9, you know, with 4 to go. It's getting interesting, to say the least.
It is interesting, and James Stewart actually out of the championship chase for the most part, but James Stewart has been so fast in qualifying and also in heat races. Why hasn't that translated to the main?
Well, he's had some problems. I mean, I think that, you know, in Arlington, when he had that clutch problem, he was in line maybe to possibly win Arlington. He looked good. He came back the next weekend in Atlanta, and you know, it was his time to win in Atlanta. But James has won here before. James has got 4 wins here. He's 05, 06, 07, and 09. So James likes the soil here. He's extremely fast. You saw the video last year. You know, him and Kevin in that heat race. He looked good in the heat race, but he just misjudged something in that main event and went down. And that's actually what, you know, gave, you know, Villapoto the championship, with James not finishing that main event last year. So, you know, you never know. James looked good in practice. We'll see when the next time practice comes out how good he is, you know, where his lap times are. But, you know, you've seen a lot of guys, and they look fast, and they got the fastest lap time, but it's not necessarily the guy who wins the main event.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 19 other riders on that gate with you. You got 20 laps. The track's consistently changing. Ruts are developing and things like that, and you got to be so focused. And I'm not talking about the first 5 laps or whatever. It's the last 5 laps or halfway through when that track really starts to change, and you really got to buckle down and physically be strong as well as mentally.
A lot of things have changed since you were racing, Jim, but one thing that hasn't changed is the travel. It's immense, crossing the United States, crisscrossing back and forth weekend to weekend. And for our Tell Me a Story Jim Holley segment, I thought I might find out if you had any travel stories.
Yeah.
Or just pick one. I'm sure you have many.
Yeah, I have many, but the one that comes to mind, is you think about a lot of things. My father had passed away on the 25th of, the 24th of March after Toronto, and so you kind of think of the last round. But our home base when we were racing on the East Coast was Nashville, Tennessee, just outside Nashville, and so I told my dad, I said, you know what, I'm going to drive to Houston with you, for the next round. Let's drive to Houston. I only made it to Memphis, and I had
Memphis?
Just Memphis. It's 100 miles or so.
No.
And I saw the sign for the airport that said Memphis Airport. I said, Dad, just pull over here, man. Let me out of the truck. I'm going to fly to Houston. I can't handle it in here anymore. I just, but think about, not only has the racing changed, but and as well for the riders, the travel, but also the way the mechanics do it. Because back then, the mechanics had a box van, and they had to drive the box van to the race. They had to get the bike prepared and stuff. Nowadays, everyone's got a semi. They got a truck driver. They're interchanging motors and things like that. So it's a little bit different also for the mechanics.
Yeah, a lot of work for everyone involved. Being a mechanic is tough. Being a rider is tough on race day, but it has its advantages when it comes to time schedule because you are the focus of everyone's event, right? You are the guy that everyone is behind and trying to get so that you are right come the night program.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just one of those things that, when you get here, it's all about trying to get that bike into the main event. And once you did that, it's all about trying to get some finishes. And that all, pertains to the next week's practices and the next week's racing. If you have a good finish, you feel good. But if you don't have a good finish, you're bummed out. Monday, a lot of times the guys won't talk to you or whatever. You'll see them in airports or something. You'll see them at hotels, and their head will be down and everything. And you're looking at it and man, at 5th, that's not bad. But these guys want to win.
That has happened. Now, when I asked Ashley Phillips earlier about the attitudes in the different rigs, if you go out in the pits routinely like we do every single week, you see the different attitudes and the different kind of personalities of each one of those rigs. Who do you think is responsible for setting those personalities, setting the tone for the way a team functions day in, day out, and on race day?
Well, I think it's probably, in some of the bigger factories, it might be the upper management on the way, you got to remember that Supercross here, the party in the pits, you're so accessible to all the athletes and everything, and sometimes people just kind of wander into the semi underneath the tent, and you can't have that, so there's certain boundaries, certain periods of the day where you can actually meet the athletes, like now, as a matter of fact, from 3 to 3:45, that's when you can go and get an autograph from your favorite rider and whatnot. But I don't know. I think a lot has to do with the team manager. Somebody's got to be the bad guy at some of the rigs, and keep everybody under control. But, it seems like I know from my experience when I was racing, when you do good and you're winning races, it seems like everyone's happy and everything. And, hey, come on in, or whatever. But, when you're not losing or things are going bad, it's like, oh, you got to stay out. You can't go in here and stuff. So.
With 1 week off, there were quite a few changes, and an update for those of you going to be watching the race tonight, either on TV or here at Reliant Stadium. There will be a couple of riders you will not see in that 250 class. Jimmy Dakotas on the 613, who is having a very good season riding as a privateer, has now taken off to Europe, and he will spend the summer competing in the GPs for CLS Kawasaki. And also Michael Lieb, who was having a good West Coast campaign before breaking his arm.
Injuries, yeah.
Yep. He also is headed to the GPs. He's back and healthy again. He'll be riding a Suzuki over there in Europe. Kyle Peters, as Ashley mentioned, he is injured, had a practice crash, and he is out. And Justin Hill also out in that 250 class. In the 450 class, Trey Kennard is back. He's back from a concussion a couple of weeks ago. Reed, of course, as we mentioned, is out as well. So there's some interesting changes happening over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Justin Hill, just one of those racing deals. But, as a rookie, you want to be out here. You want to get the time.
And
but
he was going fast.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he actually put in some great rides, had some top 5 finishes and things like that. But, I'm sure Mitch and the guys over there just want to make sure he's healthy. Hopefully we might see him back for that East-West shootout. But, if you're not ready, hey, you know what? Don't chance it. Let's get ready for the outdoors.
I want to remind you that Motorcycle Mechanics Institute is a big part of why this show is possible week in and week out. Go to youtube.com/McGrath Scholarship today, and you can enter the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute competition for that McGrath Scholarship, $20,000, and you could be on your way to a new career. You need to upload a video explaining what you would do with the scholarship and why you deserve it in a creative way. So do it now, youtube.com/McGrath Scholarship. Now, this is the middle part of our day for Jim and I each race day. We have a morning report. We then do practice or track walk interviews, and we have our practice coverage, followed by the AMSO podium interviews with Jim, and a post-race wrap-up in the evening. But it's not just race day coverage that we provide on supercrossonline.com. There's all kinds of other things happening throughout the week, and we have one of Jim's pieces that he shoots at the races, give you a view behind the scenes with the Toyota Tailgate Talk. This is an opportunity where Jim gets out in the pits. He talks to a lot of the organizers, a lot of the groups involved in putting on a race week to week. And last race 2 weeks ago, we were up in Toronto, and Jim had an opportunity to catch up with some of the officials there with Canadian Motocross, the governing body for that event of Monster Energy Supercross. So here is Toyota Tailgate Talk from 2 weeks ago in Toronto.
Jim Holley, Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. Well, welcome to this week's Toyota Tailgate Talk. We always talk to you each and every week, and we go behind the scenes, and you can kind of listen to some of the tractors. But I'm here with CMA's own Andy Volkma, the
clerk of the course.
Clerk of the course there. What's that title do?
That title, I basically am John Gallagher, the race director's assistant, and I am here just to make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing and just oversee the event.
It's a hometown race for you guys, Toronto, Canada. A lot of Canadian riders ride, and talk a little bit about how important it is for the Canadians to compete against the guys that ride the Supercross in the States.
Yeah, it's very important. We're on a bit of a lower level of let's say rider quality, and they need to compete with these guys just to bring their level up, because they'll never be on the world stage if they don't.
But in fairness to the Canadian riders, I mean, this time of year, it is March, and there is a lot of snow out there, and it's very hard and difficult for those guys to go out and practice. But it gives these guys a great opportunity with Feld Motorsports and, bringing Supercross into Toronto. They get a chance to experience it.
That's right, Jim. Yeah, this is a great opportunity for our Canadian riders to ride in the world platform and to compete with the top riders in the world, obviously, as this series does have. It's a good level. They learn a lot from this, and it is absolutely a premier event for them, and to give them the exposure that they do deserve.
Talk a little bit about the exposure. You've been around since the 80s, since I was racing, and also the matriarch over at the CMA, Marilyn Bastido.
Yes. Marilyn's been, she's the chief executive officer. She's been, has been for decades, as I've been around for decades, but she actually precedes my time. Excellent person to work for, and she does have her job down.
Now, you've been up here, we've been up here in years past to Toronto. Some of the things that you might have to handle, you and John obviously get together and make decisions on rulings.
Right, yeah. He can ask he will come to me if he hasn't seen something, and perhaps I've seen it, we can discuss it at that point, as other race officials would also. So basically we work hand in hand throughout the whole program, just to keep it running smooth and safe. I mean, safety is our utmost concern, and that's what we deal with on a moment-to-moment level.
And that's the key, the safety. I mean, as far as the track design and everything, I mean, to get your input. If the riders come to you, the Canadian side of things, and say, look, this is a little bit tough, man, we got to change this, and then you have to go to John and say, look, John, can we change this?
Yes. Whether that would be changed is something I certainly can't comment on.
All right, well, you heard it from Andy Volkma from the CMA. That's it for this week's Toyota Tailgate Talk. Make sure you check us out Wednesday nights on supercrossonline.com after 5 p.m. on that East Coast time. And don't forget about Thursday nights at 5 p.m. on that East Coast also, after the checkered flag with Ralph, Ricky, and Jeff.
Supercrossonline.com, a good place for you to check out all during the week for lots of different information. Kevin Barnett and Jim Holley once again bringing you Supercross Live, and we do stream 3 hours of live qualifying practice coverage each and every race day. We do have 4 races remaining after this week in this 5-race sprint to the finish of Monster Energy Supercross, and it will be Minneapolis next week, returning to the schedule after a couple of year break, and then we'll be in Seattle, Salt Lake, and Las Vegas. And that Las Vegas finale, Jim, always a fun one. The race goes in and out of the stadium. It always sells out.
Well, and the thing that I like about Las Vegas is the party in the pits in Vegas. I mean, it's pretty cool. All the people come out. The weather's great. And like you had mentioned, the racing is fabulous. I mean, especially that East-West shootout. Not only do you get to see the West Championship final round there, the East final championship, then you get to see the top riders. Both of those East and West come together, and we've seen a lot of great racing over the years when that East and West, and there's a lot of money on the line and a lot of bragging rights.
Yeah, and you mentioned that party in the pits. It is not only the regular pit party that we have, but many times there are extra features. We've had Ken Block out there. We've had monster trucks out there, lots of drifting exhibitions, guys doing wheelies and burnouts and all kinds of stuff. It's a lot of fun. If you get a chance to go to Las Vegas for it, do it, and stay at the Hard Rock Hotel, which is where a lot of the riders stay. You get to interact with them.
Yeah, and they do it the right way. And what I mean by that is they have buses after the, if you drink a little bit and you're worried about, I don't want to drink, they have buses that'll take you back to the Hard Rock Casino there, so that's pretty neat. You stay there and then you get a bus ride back, and then also hopefully they're going to do it again, but the speed stage, they have a lot of interviews and things like that, bring up a lot of the riders and stuff, and it's a little bit more personal, a little bit more relaxed because it is the last round of the season, so everyone's kind of like, it's not like the beginning round, at Anaheim. It's the last round, and that's it.
All right, another tour that's making its push to the end of the season is the Nuclear Cowboys show, and we're now pleased to be joined by a guy, hopefully via Skype, that we've had here on the show live as the season got underway for us here in Monster Energy Supercross. Mike Mason. Mike, are you there?
I'm here. I can barely hear you, but I'm here.
Oh, we can hear you. You're blowing it out there. Good. Thanks for joining us, Mike, and hanging in there. We know that you're right now in Ontario, California for this weekend show. And how has the show shaped up over the year? We talked to you before it started. How has the season gone for you guys out there?
The show's been really good, man. We've had some sellouts, had a bunch of good riding, no injuries, which is always key. And, yeah, man, the show's just been progressing since the last time I saw you guys. I think we're 10 or 11 shows in, so it's been really good.
Hey, Mike, you guys get an opportunity this year to cross the border down into Mexico. You're going to be in Monterrey, Mexico, and then you guys are going to be here on April 27th, 28th in Reliance Stadium. I want to talk a little bit about, normally the arenas you guys perform in are pretty small, but this Reliance Stadium is pretty big. You got something planned big?
I need the other dude to ask the question. I can't hear nothing.
Hey, Mike, we had a little technical difficulty there, but you're going to be crossing the border. You guys are heading down to Monterrey, Mexico for some shows, and then you'll be back up here in Reliance Stadium on the 27th and 28th. I know traditionally the Nuclear Cowboys are in the smaller arenas, but this arena here is pretty big.
I can't hear nothing, Jimmy. This internet's a damn shame.
It's like ordering at the drive-thru right now. I remember Wayne's World, where you're trying to get a cruller, and you just purposely drop out the voice. That's pretty much what it sounds like. Well, we're trying to connect Mike Mason. I don't know how the technology's doing out there in Ontario, Jim.
Should be good.
It should be okay. One would figure that it would be all right. Well, back to stuff here that's going on inside of our arena tonight here at Reliance Stadium and 450 class. It's been a heck of a year for Andrew Short, a name that everybody knows, a guy who's been a top 10, top 5 guy for a very long time. And Andrew's gone through not one, not two, but 3 different efforts this season. So he went from being on a Honda, factory Honda, to being on a privateer Honda. And most recently, he's been on that BTO Sports Factory KTM. How long does it take for a rider, do you think, to get used to a new bike?
Well, I think in Andrew's case, he rode for the factory Red Bull KTM, so he's got experience. It's not like you're going to a different manufacturer that you've never been on. So he's had some experience, and the KTM factory is also supplying those guys with good motors over at BTO Sports, right? So, I think the transition's a little bit more smooth. He knows the bike a little bit, so he feels a lot more comfortable at that point. Should we wake that guy up?
Yeah, guy in the orange, wake up!
They're tapping him now.
Oh, man, it's been a rough day already for him. He's resting up for the night show.
There he is. He's up now.
These KTM guys, come on, you got to cheer.
But I think in Andrew's case, I think that he's in a good place right now, and I think Andrew knows that he wants to stay in that top 10 in the points, and then when they get to the outdoors, we'll see Andrew Short step it up, I'm sure, in the outdoors. Not that he's not stepping it up here, but he's done a great job this year for all the adversity he's had to deal with. Like you mentioned, you got a factory Honda, then that team goes away, and he's going, okay, well, if the team's gone, that's fine, but can I keep the bike? And they say, no, we need the bike, and it's just the legalities of that whole situation just pretty bad. So he had to go out and purchase a bike from a Honda dealer and run. Basically it was a privateer effort. He didn't know. He had to drive the bike, didn't mechanic, all that stuff, and he did that for a while, and he actually had some good finishes on that bike. I was amazed. But then the other thing is, the KTM came knocking with the BTO Sports Ride, and he saw an opportunity, and they saw an opportunity to. But those guys have been doing good. Look at Matt Gerke; he's up in that top 10 also in the points.
Andrew Short, one of those guys that always had a reputation of needing everything exactly in order for him to be successful. Well, no quicker way to break that particular need than to be thrust into a situation where everything is up in the air. And Andrew, as you mentioned, has responded admirably and continued to work hard every week and have good results. Good to see Andrew Short still out there performing at the level we've expected. And from a rider who's had a particularly rough and tumble season to a team that's had a particularly rough and tumble season, I'm talking about the Pro Circuit Kawasaki effort of Mitch Payton. And Mitch Payton used to so many championships. Do you think this is the most challenging year that Mitch Payton has had with this team?
Absolutely. If we're talking Supercross.
6 riders, 4 injured.
Yeah, it just started out bad with Blake Baggett, at Anaheim when he got, into that, he got into it in the first turn and stuff and hurt his wrist, and then he tried to ride the next week, and that wasn't happening. And you got to remember that the Monster Energy Cup last year, Blake Baggett also injured his wrist, so he had to get that into control. So, it's just hard. It's hard to deal with the different adversities that you have in Supercross and keeping everybody healthy. That's the key. But like you had said, Dean Wilson got off in Indianapolis, and then Hill got off in Toronto. You lose 2 of your guys. But on the flip side of things, though, hey, Tyler Bowers was able to fill in nicely for it. So there's always guys. I'm sure that there's a lot of people that would want to ride that Monster Energy Pro Circuit bike for Mitch.
Yeah, during this second round of qualifying practice, be sure and keep your eye on Tyler Bowers. Tyler Bowers is on a 68 Kawasaki. You'll notice him out there in full Pro Circuit colors. We're going to take a short break here on Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. We'll be right back. Group C of 250s coming up. Then Group B, and then Group A, and then A of the 450s. We'll go right through the second round of qualifying practice in just a moment.
Yeah, you can say my racing career has been a pretty sweet ride. Whether I'm out on the track or in the pits, I need a crew I can count on. That's why these guys are MMI grads.
At MMI, I got to train on the newest Honda bikes using the latest equipment. It was pretty intense, but it paid off.
Honda's the only bike that I ride, but MMI teams up with all the big boys. You work on the top brands and have the opportunity to earn manufacturer and dealer recognition. Sounds like a pretty awesome advantage to me.
Tell us why you deserve a $20,000 scholarship to MMI. Upload a 2-minute video to youtube.com/McGrath Scholarship by April 19th.
MMI, the official technical institute of Monster Energy AMA Supercross. So if you're into motorcycles and want to turn your love for bikes into a great career, check out MMI.
Hey, when was the last time you spent 2 minutes and made $20,000? You can do it by entering that video for Motorcycle Mechanics Institute today. A couple of quick notes here on Houston. This will be the 47th time the gate drops here in Houston, and every brand has a win except, Jim, KTM. They did not have a win, but they have Ryan Dungey tonight in that 450 class.
And the first rider here to win was a Dutchman, Pierre Karsmakers, if my memory serves me correct.
Your memory does serve you right, and that's all in the 450 class. And Jim, I was coming across some stuff here. It says that for a few years you guys had double headers. Is that two mains or is that back-to-back nights?
Well, it was back-to-back nights with two mains. It was, say round 3 and round 4. But, that was common back in the early days. We had also a doubleheader in Pontiac, Michigan, as well as Seattle, Washington. So, I mean, you talk about a rigorous schedule, what the guys have to go through now. I mean, imagine, racing here tonight and then going back to the hotel, trying to wind down, calm down, and then come back Sunday for a Sunday afternoon matinee Supercross, and finishing up. Those were hard back-to-back nights.
Do you have an old venue or an old city that the tour no longer goes to that you would like to, or that you remember fondly?
I really liked Pontiac. Pontiac, I thought was a pretty good. We went up in the stands actually. They went
the Silverdome.
Yeah, the Silverdome. We went up there, and a lot of the guys. Have probably some good memories of the Pontiac. I have some good memories in the Astrodome, just watching some of the mechanics try to get the toolboxes down because there is a big ramp from the street level that goes down about a 45-degree angle. A lot of guys would have them on wagons, and they'd try to get up on the top of the toolbox and control the wagon, and they just cartwheel and tools and sockets and wrenches and just would be all over. So.
Here we go, practice number 2, qualifying practice number 2 underway. This is the 250C class out on track now as we will take our way through the C and B. That's Bradley Ripple out there, SMS Racing entry.
Adam Toppy's probably happy right about now seeing his guy out there. But that's what you have to do if you're Bradley Ripple. He's been off for a while. He had an injury. He had started out in Arlington really good and then had a practice crash, but it's good to see Bradley Ripple back and looks comfortable out there.
Yeah, Bradley Ripple now practicing and living down here in Texas, so a local race for him, although out of Indiana originally. So he found some warmer weather and a year-round opportunity to ride a dirt bike. Ripple not looking like he's taking too much time off there, Jim. Looked good through those corners.
No, wants to lay down a good time. I know he probably wasn't happy with the time that he posted the first one, but that was the first one, This is it. It's time to get on the horse and go now.
He is moving on that Shea Racing SMS National Switchgear ride.
There's that sand that we talked about. The Dirtworks guys kind of groomed it over really well. He's going to go to the outside, square it off, head to the left in the whoops, a little bit less whoops. Those whoops, it's interesting. They get bigger as you get into them.
Well, it's interesting to me that they're taking an inside line at the end of the whoops. I would figure usually you'd be going so fast at the end of the whoops, you would need to go to the outside line.
Yeah, I think it sets them up when they come out of the corners for, what they're doing in this timing section. Because if you look at the timing section, that inside, there's only half of a jump. So if you can get to the inside, carry the momentum like we had talked about in the whoops, you're able to do the step on, step off. You got to remember it's pretty soft out there with this soil.
Soil going to be interesting through the mains, through 15. Oh, way over jump there. Looked like 7:42. That's Christian Telker out of Brownsville, Indiana, on the Moto Extremes Yamaha. Over jumping that finish line. Mentioned that the finish line is a little bit longer than normal. Now look at the 465. That's Grant Ransdell out of Milner, Georgia. He's on the Visions and 100% One Industries Honda. This is the C practice. A lot of these guys are not going to make the night show. There is a good amount of entries tonight for the 250 class. 61 entries for the 250 class.
And that's a huge number, like you had talked about Bradley Ripple, moving down here. A lot of guys, come down here and they train. So it's 7 days a week, 365 days in a year riding down here. So that's why we're seeing, a lot of these guys in the 250 class, they said, hey, it's time to go try Supercross in Reliance Stadium.
Back to Christian Telker. Remember to follow us on Twitter. Also ask questions on Twitter if you wish. We'll see if we can get some of those answered here at Supercross Live. We'll get producer Ryan on the case.
Yeah, Ryan, maybe he can get to it. Some of those people. There you go.
There's one right there. Let's answer it now. That is from Gabriel. It says, the Houston tracks have a history of big crashes. Any spots on the track that riders should watch out for? Good question. And maybe areas that the viewers should watch out for. Last year it was James Stewart going down in a on-off section on the far side of the stadium.
And they have a lot of those, Gabriel, here tonight. Those timing sections where you're stepping on, stepping off, and the track is pretty fast. The lap times are 56 seconds right here, as Cook's doing. He's got the fastest one right now. But the whoops, and then
how about the sand? Where they're coming in hard into that sand. It's pretty deep. It's not long, but it's deep.
Yeah, maybe.
Go ahead and say no. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Jimmy, the expert here.
No, I think it depends on if you carry that momentum and you use that front end to steer with, and you don't have a sand tire, then it has a chance to knife and throw you over the front or whatever, or wash out the front end. But it's pretty short. You'll see them going. A lot of guys using that outside berm. That's a good safe bet. But it's when you want to knife underneath someone that it could be a problem.
There's actually 2 lines through the sand right now, which is good to see. So definitely some passing possibilities in that area.
Yeah, and I'm not sure entering into the whoops, what way's faster. Obviously, you got a left-hander, you drive into it, you square it off, and you go to the far left because there's almost 3 whoops that you don't have to deal with if you go to that outside line.
7:13 and Chad Cook out of Oklahoma City. Ryan Kawasaki, he leads here in 250C practice, 56.8.
I wonder if he knows Ashley Phillips.
The odds are pretty good. Some of that Oklahoma contingent out there. Includes Trey Kennard, Jimmy Albertson, who is out with a wrist injury.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't see Jimmy today.
Top Jimmy out. Which might mean that Ronnie Mack is out too.
It's interesting. You see some of the guys, they'll go by the mechanics area there. You'll see the signboard. Probably some of the people listening or whatever, they wonder, well, why did they got the signboard out? It's to let the rider know what their lap time is and what it's going to take to get them into the night program.
Again, a look at Ransdell on that 465. Ransdell currently in 6th. Were those whoops just dishing out some punishment? That's the 328 of Chad Crawford out of Warrenton, Missouri. Twisted Engineering and 2 dudes in a Tundra. KX.
I like that. 2 dudes in a Tundra.
2 dudes in a Tundra. They've been putting up videos.
You can just see the track. As you're watching them, they go inside, they go outside, they square it off. There's a lot of traction out there, and that's a good thing when you get into the whoops. It's not hard dry. You can get some traction and get across those whoops pretty good.
Now checking his time there. So Chad Crawford actually moved up with that last lap. He's now in 7th. That's a 58.266, his fastest of this session.
Moore still got the fastest out there, 56.7.
Moore, Ripple, Cook, Glenn, Starling, Ransdell, Crawford, Hawk, Bitterman, and Reed. Your top 10. There's the 394 of Moore. That's Tanner Moore out of Auburn, Kansas. He's on the Letco KTM and MBR Racing Honda.
Yeah, those rhythm sections, timing sections, a little bit more easier for those 450s to get through them.
Chad Cook, top qualifier, 56.391 right now. A minute 40 remaining in this 250C practice.
Chad Cook, number 713, got that fastest time. Let's follow Chad around, see if he's going to try to maybe dip into the high 55s, but that's a lot of time to take off for 3 seconds.
It's that flat black helmet he's running.
Actually 3/10, not 3 seconds. If he's taking off 3 seconds, he's winning that main event, I can tell you that.
Yeah, he's doing okay. Might find himself winning a Monster Energy Cup Open class title. Oh, he's going to roll this one. So Cook happy with his time right now, 56.391, and that puts him atop the leaderboard here in the 250C group. Now it's the 588 of Jerry Lumsdale out of Royce City, Texas, Fleetwood Services, Honda. So he's struggling a little bit with some traction coming out of that corner, Jim.
Well, because he was down to the concrete. If you notice, they're down to the concrete coming out of that right-hander.
Checkered flag is a waving here on 250C. So if you haven't put in a fast lap, you better be doing it now and hoping you make the night show. And if you're part of this 250C practice, things looking pretty good for Cook, Ripple, and Moore. Starling and Glenn, Ramsdell and Crawford, Hawk and Bitterman, and then Reed, your top 10. Then it's Klippel, Inman, Telker, Kokak, Baker, Hildreth, Hapner, Lumsdale, Camp, and Anthony. So the final fast laps being put in by the 250C group. A lot of these guys hoping to run a heat race as a part of the night show.
Yeah, I think those first couple guys for sure, if they're in the 56s, I think that's going to get them into the night show.
We'll see, even some of those 57s might get it done.
The low 57s, 57.1. I don't know about that 57.6 or 57.8.
So 57.6 or 57.8, we'll have to keep an eye on where things end up with the next session. 250B group coming up next. We'll take a quick break here on Supercross Live at supercrossonline.com. We'll be right back in just a second with the B group of 250s as you see them crawl onto the track there. And we'll also have a special guest check in. I think it's somebody you're going to want to hear from if you're a fan of Monster Energy Supercross.
Want to stay up to date with Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship? Then follow all the action of Supercross on Facebook and Twitter. Get real-time updates and stay current on all the Monster Energy Supercross news. Comment on our Facebook wall and tweet us using hashtag Supercross Live. Watch videos from every city during the 2013 Supercross season on YouTube and share your photos on Instagram with hashtag Supercross Live. All season long, our Supercross fans can connect with riders, ask them questions, and even get info from the riders with exclusive information before all the big races. Be sure to check out Monster Energy Supercross on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for exclusive content that you won't find anywhere else.
Yeah, you can say my racing career has been a pretty sweet ride. Whether I'm out on the track or in the pits, I need a crew I can count on. That's why these guys are MMI grads.
At MMI, I got to train on the newest Honda bikes using the latest equipment. It was pretty intense, but it paid off.
Honda's the only bike that I ride, but MMI teams up with all the big boys. You work on the top brands and have the opportunity to earn manufacturer and dealer recognition. Sounds like a pretty awesome advantage to me.
Tell us why you deserve a $20,000 scholarship to MMI. Upload a 2-minute video to youtube.com/McGrath Scholarship by April 19th.
MMI, the official technical institute of Monster Energy AMA Supercross. So if you're into motorcycles and want to turn your love for bikes into a great career, check out MMI.
Have you downloaded the brand new Monster Energy Supercross mobile app yet? Get race info and results, buy tickets, watch videos, play trivia, and more, all right from your smartphone. Search Monster Energy Supercross on Apple iTunes or Google Play stores to download it for free today.
Welcome back to Supercross Live on SupercrossOnline.com. This segment brought to you by SupercrossOnline.com, the official website of Monster Energy Supercross. We all know there are imitation websites out there, but make sure you only purchase your tickets from SupercrossOnline.com. Avoid scalpers, upcharges, and price gougers by going to SupercrossOnline.com. Welcome back into our studio location here high in the rafters of Reliance Stadium. Kevin Barnett and Jim Holley, and now we're pleased to be joined by a familiar face to anyone who is a fan of Monster Energy Supercross. Yeah, put that phone away, Dean. It's all about live TV here. Dean Wilson of Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki. And Dean, I think what a lot of people want to know is how are you feeling and how goes the recovery from your crash just a few weeks ago?
Yeah, I'm actually feeling a lot better. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you, but we'll see. Can we?
We'll get it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, so I can keep talking?
Yeah, just keep going. Okay. You just go with it and hope that they fix it.
Okay, yeah. Well,
there we go.
Yeah, I feel okay. I feel pretty good today, actually. Today's one of the days where I feel good, but yeah, I'm going to California after this tomorrow. I have to drive there because my
You're driving?
Lungs, yeah. But
he probably will go the whole way. He won't get out halfway, Jim, or a third of the way.
Yeah, so I have to go to California because I can't fly on an airplane because they're scared that my lung will collapse on a plane.
Right,
so,
pressure.
Yeah, so I'm going to California, going to see my doctors, and hopefully, I don't know, we'll see what they say.
Yeah, Dean, during that crash that we were talking earlier, it seemed like you hit the ground and popped right up and kind of got off the track. How quickly did you know that you were really hurt?
I think I knew when I was hurt when I got up from the crash, and I just had so many pains all over my body, and I couldn't really breathe. I was kind of just trying to gather myself. And the moment I knew I couldn't really ride was I got up, and then I wanted to do a few laps just to see how I felt, and I just couldn't. I couldn't breathe, and so I went back to the semi, and I was like, maybe I just need to try and regroup and try and get ready for the LCQ. But I sat down, and I just was aching everywhere, so I couldn't. I couldn't race, so I had to go to Asterisk and went to the hospital, and that was that, really.
Was the track just different in that section? This is where you were in a left-hander and you were railing the outside to then try and clear a couple obstacles in the rhythm lane. Was the track just different than it had been in previous practice sessions? Because this was during the early part of the heat race.
Yeah, I mean, I hit that lane in practice all day, and there was a good passing line. If you watch like the 450 race, Dungy made a lot of passes hitting that.
Right.
And, I went to pass Justin, but I thought he would have drifted out farther, but he knew it was me, and he was nice enough to give me space. But I just kind of was way too close to the hay bales, and I drifted onto it. And there was actually one of those flashing yellow markers, the black tubes,
right.
and I landed on it, and it kind of just, that was it. And, on speed, the crash doesn't look that bad, but it was just the impact when I slammed on into the jump, So, it sucked, definitely. It was devastating.
There was a lot of confusion as to whether you were injured, if you were injured, how badly you were injured throughout the night, and whether you were going to be there in the LCQ. And I think people expected you to see you in the LCQ until you weren't there. But then later on, you tweeted out a picture, Instagrammed a picture of yourself with a description of your injuries. But then later on, somebody said that hadn't happened. It seemed to cause a lot of confusion. Is that part of what social media is doing now, is perhaps sometimes causing confusion, or do you think it helps clarify what happens many times if it's coming directly from you?
Yeah, I think about both. I think people always do get confused, but I did write on my Twitter, that all those injuries, because that's what the doctor had told me at the beginning, because they did all my x-rays, but they seen a lot of parts that were old injuries that they didn't realize happened that night. So what I ended up doing was I collapsed my lung, I shattered my rib, I compressed my back, my T3, and I separated my shoulder. So but I'm feeling a lot better now. I've just been in Florida relaxing and trying to heal.
Are you looking forward to riding the 450s in the outdoor? I know that you were looking forward to riding 450s, indoors here. You had the Jeff Ward racing, all that went down. You find out you're not going to ride a 450. Mitch comes to the rescue and says, I'll help you out. I want you to ride that East Coast, but you can ride the 450 in the outdoors. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I just a little bit too big for the 250. I think I could do well on the 250 outdoors, but I think I'll do good on the 450. Just looking forward to it, really. It's just it's going to be a good bike. It's fast, so I'm just excited to go out there and mix it up with all those boys.
Update on the times here in 250B qualifying practice. It's Hairlane with the fast time, 55.4. So, Jim, maybe that 57 is the cutoff, that high 57, because this group here, Landon Powell is in second and Bueller in third, but there are 7 guys inside of 56, and then there are 3 more inside of 57, and 57.6 being the slowest of those, that being Potter on the 395 in 10th.
Yeah, like you said, I don't know. Maybe that high 57 might get it in, but I can tell you what, if you're BD from Canada, they're 961 back there, you better pick it up, because I don't know if that 1 minute's going to get you in.
Dean, what are the areas of the track you're seeing tonight now as a fan, being forced to be a fan, that you think there's going to be a lot of action?
I don't know. I think the whoops is something that you can separate yourself in, because they're pretty big, and I don't know. A lot of the shorter riders actually struggle a little bit, and Tyler Bowers, my teammate, he's hitting them really good just because he's a bigger guy. But I think the whoops is going to be a big separator on the track, and I don't know. I think the track's going to get quite rutty. I think there's going to be big ruts, and it's going to make it more, difficult.
You mentioned Tyler Bowers. I got a chance to on the track walk see you were walking with him, and are you here kind of helping him out and stuff?
Well, I'm just actually here just because I'm on my way back to California.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm here to help him for sure. Tyler's one of my friends, and I just kind of helping him feel a little bit comfortable. Just because he's not familiar with the team, so he knows me, and I just kind of want him to feel comfortable and not so nervous, and that's it really. And help him with a little bit of lane choice and stuff like that as well.
Dean, I've seen you down on track walk running some Mad Skills motocross. How are your skills on that, and have they improved in the last couple of weeks?
They're all right. I think I'm sitting top 100 still.
Top 100?
Yeah, I'm top
nice.
100. And top 100 is no easy task.
No, I was stoked to get inside of the 7,000 mark.
Did you? Hey, I got to give a shout out to Burner. Burner just texted me and he says, I have to turn my hat around. an interview. So I'm doing it right now for Burner.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go. Keep the ears tucked in, though.
He was not happy on the text message, so I had to do it for him.
Well, that's good. You're helping out Tyler Bowers as he comes here, and Burner is helping out you with your media training.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good.
So shout out to Burner.
All right, so do you play any other video games that are motocross related?
I honestly never played video games
Never?
ever, really. No.
Just riding?
No, I like...
What do you do to relax then?
I'm like the kind of person, like, if I'm going to play video games, I want to be good at it, and that just takes a lot of time, and I don't have that kind of time, so, well, I do now, but I don't know. I get too serious over video games. I will lose friends over video games, so I just don't mess with them.
So how do you escape then the pressures of racing and the competitiveness of that? Do you find something else that you can do normally, not necessarily right now while you're recovering?
Yeah, well, I live in Florida now, but when I lived in California, I like to go on my BMX bike. There's lots of bicycle jumps and stuff. I just like to hang out with my friends and, I don't know, just do normal stuff that, that takes my mind off of racing.
So that piece I saw in Daytona on Speed with you and Aaron Bates, miniature golf.
I still haven't seen that either.
That's something that you don't golf or anything. Some of you guys like to golf to relax, or
I wish I could go mini golfing with Aaron every day, but that doesn't happen.
You and Joel Chiro, a friend of mine, he watched that piece.
Very good. 250 B group qualifying practice coming to a close. Herline takes it 55.43. That would be Daniel Herline out of Bethesda, Ohio, on the A&Y racing effort, and then followed by Zimmer, Powell, Bueller, Williams, Barbary, Gully, Hussey, Martin, and Potter. The top 10 look like they all have a pretty good shot of getting in. Gully in there. One of the twins is still getting it done.
I actually talked to his dad during track walk. The other brother broke his wrist, so that's why he's not here. Remember, we didn't see him together, so these guys are hard-working guys. I mean, they have regular jobs during the week, and his dad owns a flooring company from where they're at, and they're flooring, and then they try to find time to fit Supercross in there. But the other brother not riding. Maybe some outdoors, he said.
Kevin Barnett, Jim Holley, and Dean Wilson. And Dean, we were talking earlier about kind of the attitudes of the trucks, the different personalities that the trucks take on, whether you're a media person coming in or somebody else just trying to get information out of the truck. How would you describe the personality of your team and your truck week to week?
I think it's pretty good, but it's definitely a more serious, team. And they Mitch and the whole team, they just kind of want one thing, and that's winning. But I have the same goal as well, and I think being on Mitch's team is really good for me because, he just wants the best out of you every single time. So he's always keeping you on your toes, and it's good.
Very good. Well, thanks for stopping by and spending a little time with us here. And good luck healing up. We'll look forward to seeing you back in California.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dean.
Is your dad Andy working for you still?
Yeah, he's still there. He's still there.
Still there.
Yeah.
Very good. Dean Wilson here at Houston. Good to stop by. We're going to have 450A practice here in just a second. We'll take a break here on Supercross Live.
Yeah, you can say my racing career has been a pretty sweet ride. Whether I'm out on the track or in the pits, I need a crew I can count on. That's why these guys are MMI grads.
At MMI, I got to train on the newest Honda bikes using the latest equipment. It was pretty intense, but it paid off.
Honda's the only bike that I ride, but MMI teams up with all the big boys. You work on the top brands and have the opportunity to earn manufacturer and dealer recognition. Sounds like a pretty awesome advantage to me.
Tell us why you deserve a $20,000 scholarship to MMI. Upload a 2-minute video to youtube.com/McGrath Scholarship by April 19th.
MMI, the official technical institute of Monster Energy AMA Supercross. So if you're into motorcycles and want to turn your love for bikes into a great career, check out MMI.
Welcome back to Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. This next segment brought to you by our all-new Monster Energy Supercross app. Fans, have you downloaded the brand new Monster Energy Supercross app yet? Get race info, results, buy tickets, watch videos, play trivia, and more right from your smartphone. Search Supercross on the Apple iTunes or Google Play stores. It is free to download today. You can put it on your white iPhone. I noticed Dean Wilson has a white iPhone. I have a white iPhone, and our returning co-host here, Kevin Windham, with his own white iPhone.
It's cracked though, because when you have kids and they want to play with your phone, and I don't run a cover, so not the smartest guy in the world, but glad to be back with you guys.
Hey, welcome back, and sorry you're not making the night program today.
I tried, but actually I was looking at the track map here, and what a fabulous track for transfers. I mean, this thing is just killer.
Possibilities are endless, huh?
They are.
We actually showed your transfer earlier.
You already showed it. You guys let the cat out the bag?
Yeah.
Already.
Well, it's not on the live program. It's only for the folks here, right? So.
Wow. I thought I had some new drum roll thing that I was going to unveil.
Well, you are for the live audience.
Okay.
But
cool.
our audience is worldwide. So we wanted to give the guys in Japan and Europe and Australia and New Zealand a shot at looking at it.
Japan, what did you think? Is it a thumbs up or what?
They wanted to see you do it in a Speedo.
Sugoi! Sugoi, Kevin-san! Yatta!
Well, let's head down to the track where 250A practice is once again going on. Will Hahn with the early fast time, 52.711, followed by Marvin Muskin on that 3-race win streak. And then it's Tyler Bowers who continues to put himself up atop the board here in practice. Then Gavin Faith, Blake Wharton, Thompson, Freezy, Richardson, Cantanzaro, Vincent Kilbarger, Freeberg, Larson, Oldenburg, Clark, and Martin.
That's who we were watching. There's Vince Freezy now out there, but we had a question.
Yeah,
Twitter.
DJ on Twitter asked a timely question. What will Tyler Bowers place tonight? Where do you think he's going to finish, Jim? Podium or not podium?
I think that he's definitely going to be in the top 5. I'd put him in the top 5 for sure. And, he's got a good shot at that podium for sure.
The only question I had was running 15 laps. Seems like a little bit more work than he's used to, no?
He's strong. He's all right. He's fine. He'll be good there.
I agree. He'll be fine. He'll definitely be in the top 5, depending on where. And, we're watching Freezy on the film. This is a guy that's been riding really well here. So expect to see him up in the mix. You got Martin. You got, so many guys. Unfortunately, Dean's out. Good to see him back up here in the booth with you guys and walking around. That's nice.
I noticed he was talking to you and asking where your transfer was going to be tonight before we were off camera.
Yeah, it's
everyone. That's got to be cool for you, and knowing that Dean Wilson, a lot of the top guys, they look forward to seeing your transfer, man.
Yeah, it does make me feel good. It's been a big part of the last couple of years of my career, and tell you what, it feels about as sweet as winning a race. I know there was races that I won after doing a transfer, and it's like that felt good, but that transfer was nice too.
You get almost as many high fives.
Yeah.
It didn't pay as well and didn't give me champagne and a trophy, but still.
There's a guy that we talked about, Jackson Richardson from Australia, had a 9th a couple weeks ago in Toronto, and that was a good finish for him. The best of this year for Jackson Richardson out of Australia.
Yep, out of Cairns, Australia. That's PJ Larson there on the 69.
Are we going with PJ or Peter? Because he's in the Peter is when he's on the 450. Kevin, you one of the last races you won back here in, what was it, 08, I believe you won here.
Yeah, Houston's been one of those places where from time to time it becomes my home race, depending on if we go to New Orleans on the Supercross series. But so many friends and family and so much hype for me at this race, and rode really well here. Unfortunately, later in my career, it kind of became the Achilles heel, so to speak. It as sweet as it was for me, there were several races that I was either leading or in contention last year in a simple heat race. But, boy, I went down hard here a couple of times as well. But that's all right. Not going to let it keep me down. I love this place, and the jumps and the dirt are normally really good here. They're normally big. and should be exciting race tonight. So I'm looking forward to it.
48. I was just trying to see
Cole Thompson.
Cole Thompson out of Canada.
Yep, Cole Thompson, who's been riding well this season, currently sitting in 7th with a 54.4. So this entire group, this 250A group, is sub 57 seconds, 56.97. Jeremy Martin not out here in this practice.
Well, obviously, that practice crash that he had, just at the end of the whoops there, obviously, hopefully he can, return for the heat race. I think he had a good time up to that point, and we've seen it happen a lot. I don't know, Kevin, if you ever did it in your career, but I know James Stewart, a lot of times he'll come out and throw down and he'll be sick or something, or not feeling like he wants to ride that final time practice, but maybe that's what Jeremy Martin's doing.
It's the weirdest thing, and I don't know exactly what's going on in Martin's head, but some of the best races that I've ever had have come on the heels of an injury or come on a night where I was sick. It's amazing how I don't know if that just takes the pressure off of you a little bit to go out and get your job done. But, just because he's not out here, I wouldn't buy into the fact that he's not going to be a threat tonight. And, I'd like to see the guy on the podium, man. Just a good kid, a good up-and-comer, and I think he's got some good stuff ahead of him. But need to get it rolling right now and try to hang with Hahn and Muscan and learn some stuff this year.
Getting a good look at some different riders here. AJ Cantanzaro was on the 73 and Gavin Faith on the 67.
Yeah, you mentioned a guy like Jeremy Martin. He's had the season has been up and down. He's had a podium. He had a podium at Daytona, and he's had some fifths, but then on the other hand, he's not made some main events.
And I think, that's the rookie side of coming into this big show of Supercross. It's everybody that's on that floor right now has amazing talent, but when you turn the lights on and the press, the media, the trophy, what it means, it gets no bigger to me than this stage right here, and that's tough to deal with. And to ride with your best A game, if you're on a big bike, whether it be 17 rounds in a row or for these guys doing 8 or 7 in a row, whatever they do, it's tough to bring that game week in and week out, and that's where you see a little bit of the mishaps and the unfortunate nights that you have.
Speaking of bringing your A game, you had to bring your A game the last couple of weeks being on TV. How different was it being a part of the live television show?
Yeah, it's tricky. I tell you what, that is a tough job. It's fun. I enjoy doing it. I just enjoy watching the races, and to talk about it is just something that I really enjoy. And being with you guys and being down on the floor tonight, I'm definitely having a good time. But I got to be honest with you, it doesn't make retirement that good. Man, I miss being out there so bad, but. Seems like the longer I retire, I'm retired. It seems like you remember the good things, and you kind of forget about those crashes, like for instance here last year that we just talked about. So I don't know, I'm in a good place, and right now just kind of enjoying being able to talk with you guys about these great riders like Marvin killing those whoops right there, man. That's a good pass.
Marvin killing it, 52.021 in top qualifier at the moment. Will Hahn just behind at 52.4. But Marvin Musquin not afraid to air it out, as he's done a few times here on the left side. There it is, the tall side of that jump in front of the mechanics area.
He has a good race tonight. We might be able to see a heel clicker over that thing, man. He likes to heel click.
Yeah, he does. He's got a chance to win 4 in a row. He's got 3 in a row right now. He's 6 points down. I know, talking to Will Hahn, Will's just struggling with his starts. It has nothing to do with his qualifying time. It was a good time he put in, but Will's suffering from those bad starts.
Well, I got to be honest with you, being in the truck with Will and, knowing the whole Geico Honda program and even, Marvin here with, on the Red Bull KTM, for me, both of those guys have to leave that gate well, know. Not even well. I think they have to get the whole shot, because I don't know that Marvin can catch Will, and I don't know that Will can catch Marvin. It's one of those things where they're pretty evenly matched, and it seems like here eventually they'll get out together and they'll just be one heck of a barn burner, for a race. But when you bury yourself, and when I say bury yourself, even as light as 5th, 6th, 7th place in this field these days, you may not be able to run either one of those two guys down.
This seems like one of the few tracks we've had where there are a lot of options. Is that your perception? Are there a lot of options out there for passing, do you think, tonight, or no?
I think there is a lot of options, and the track and the dirt is going to be the key. Keep the riders on their toes, because this dirt looks really good, but it has some lines in there that kind of get chewed out, and it's tough to keep the bike straight on this track.
Right.
Speaking from experience, I've had a tough time keeping my bike straight here in Houston. But you know, I think that I'm on the calls with the guys now, and we talk about the track and discuss it. I mean, Feld, Dirtworks, all the guys, they do all that they can to provide the best race surface with the most options to give these guys great opportunity to go out and win these races. And I think they've done a great job here in Houston. And I think we got a good stage set for a great main event here in the lights.
You look like the new consultant down there for Dirtworks. Saw you with the shovel working on the whoops there.
Well, you know, they don't let you just roll right into the skid steers or the dozers or whatever.
Right.
They start you with
On
the
a shovel.
shovels.
Okay.
And if I prove myself there, then I can start inching my way up. So hopefully another round or two on the shovel, and I'll be good.
Well, something else I remember Houston, you know, in years past is you had a chance and opportunity to design one of the courses here in Houston, and I like that start.
Do you remember what I did in that race?
Yeah.
And I won that round.
Yeah.
And what I did was, I think it was the first time in Supercross where you jumped over the start straight on the finish line, and that's actually back in this track here. So good to see it. We'll see how it works out. It's just something a little bit different, and makes that finish line gap tonight pretty big. Yeah, I think those guys, you get that win, man. You should be able to throw a pretty sick whip off that thing and do a little showboating for this crowd here in Houston.
Now Marvin Muskin is top qualifier for the 250 class at 52 flat, and right behind him, Will Hahn. So they're set up for another 25-19 battle, 52.4, followed by Tyler Bowers, who's going to stick his front wheel in there into that title chase. Gavin Faith and AJ Cantanzaro, Vince Freese, Blake Wharton, Cole Thompson, PJ Larson, Zach Freeberg, and then it's Richardson, Vincent, Oldenburg, Kilbarger, Clark, and Martin.
Well, you mentioned Bowers. That's a good pick for him because he's going to get the second pick on the line, and that's very important, you know, to get a good start. Like you said last year here, Tyler Bowers having his problems in the start. But something that I noticed, it was a 52-0, correct?
52-0-2-1, yep.
Right. And what was Villapoto's? 53-0.
First round, 53. So
that means the track's getting faster.
Yeah, we're going to see probably RV lay down a pretty fast time here in this next practice for the 450A group. I'm going to take a short break here on Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. We'll be right back with the 450A group taking the track.
Want to stay up to date with Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship? Then follow all the action of Supercross on Facebook and Twitter. Get real-time updates and stay current on all the Monster Energy Supercross news. Comment on our Facebook wall and tweet us using hashtag Supercross Live. Watch videos from every city during the 2013 Supercross season on YouTube and share your photos on Instagram with hashtag Supercross Live. All season long, our Supercross fans can connect with riders, ask them questions, and even get info from the riders with exclusive information before all the big races. Be sure to check out Monster Energy Supercross on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for exclusive content that you won't find anywhere else.
Yeah, you can say my racing career has been a pretty sweet ride.
Whether I'm out on the track or in the pits, I need a crew I can count on. That's why these guys are MMI grads.
At MMI, I got to train on the newest Honda bikes using the latest equipment. It was pretty intense, but it paid off.
Honda's the only bike that I ride, but MMI teams up with all the big boys. You work on the top brands and have the opportunity to earn manufacturer and dealer recognition. Sounds like a pretty awesome advantage to me.
Tell us why you deserve a $20,000 scholarship to MMI. Upload a 2-minute video to youtube.com/McGrath Scholarship by April 19th.
MMI, the official technical institute of Monster Energy AMA Supercross. So if you're into motorcycles and want to turn your love for bikes into a great career, check out MMI.
One, two, three, four. Check.
Have Have you downloaded the brand new Monster Energy Supercross mobile app yet? Get race info and results, buy tickets, watch videos, play trivia, and more, all right from your smartphone. Search Monster Energy Supercross on Apple iTunes or Google Play stores to download it for free today.
Welcome back to Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. This segment brought to you by Nuclear Cowboys. The 2013 Nuclear Cowboys Tour is on Ontario, California this weekend, and then makes a trip south of the border for 2 weeks, April 13th and 14th in Mexico City, the 19th and 21st in Monterey. And then we'll be back here, right here in Houston, the 27th and 28th here in Reliant Stadium.
Hey, I got to ask Kevin a question.
Yeah.
Kevin, in Toronto.
Tough question or just?
Well, no, it's, maybe you can give a little insight to it, but we had your mechanic, Brian Kalma.
I saw that.
And I noticed he kept, every once in a while.
Kept reaching.
Yeah, for his phone. Were you calling him or something?
You guys were on the screen in the stadium, and I was loving it because I was watching you guys, and it looked like, I was kind of like, hey.
He's a shy guy.
He's in my spot.
Yeah.
What's he doing up in my spot, right? So I was calling him. And it would have been so good if he would have answered his phone because I was down on the floor enjoying the show. You guys did a good show that day. It was nice.
It was fun. We did our best at the end, too. We were missing our third co-host, the Kevin and Jim show.
Well, Brian did a great job. I mean, I really enjoyed having him up here because of the fact that talking about, motorcycles and MMI and things like that and getting some insight because he is a graduate of MMI.
You did not tell him how I work on my bike at the house, my practice bike, right?
No, we didn't get into that. That's
because
another show.
I do have a practice mechanic, but if he's not around, I do use the hammer and stuff like that more than you probably should on the
straight to hammer and pliers, no wrenches at all. No. A bolt. Well, I got a pair of pliers here, channel locks.
Ooh. All right, well here we go, the big boys in the 450 class, and Barsha right out there.
Look at Barsha out front because I was down there on the first time practice. I tell you. Didn't go so well for the 51, so it's interesting to see if he gets out there pretty early. And
I'm surprised they rolled that triple.
Well, they have to because when they're coming back on to the start straight here,
right, they got to slow down because of the first turn.
They want to let the guys come through, give everybody a good time to get down the start straight. It's pretty tricky track layout here. When you're looking at it on a map, you're like, man, where the heck do these guys go?
Right.
But they got it figured out.
All right, well, we got Millsaps and Barsha now. Now they'll be able to wick them up a little bit.
Barsha just turning 21. I don't know if you guys went over that
no,
already,
he's,
but
he's
birthday,
21 now, yeah.
Birthday's coming up, man, or today I think it is. So.
Today's his birthday?
I think, either today or here in the near future, but I know he's making 21, so he'll enjoy Vegas this year.
Yeah. Is he a gambler like you?
I don't know. hopefully he's better than me.
Yeah, he looked good. He looks good right now. Step on, step off, use the outside of the stand, drive it in, square it off, and go to the left side of the whoops. Actually, he takes the right side of the whoops.
Say anything you want about Justin Barsha, he is fun to watch on a bike. He is aggressive.
Yes, he is.
Got that triple and then really triple single.
A lot of guys taking that tall side of that jump right there, Jim, coming across the
yeah, they're protecting that inside line, and then they just kind of hit it at a 45 and jump to the outside. I mean, that's the fast line.
When you bring that inside into play, it's so easy to drift on the way out of there. Those mechanics better keep their eyes open tonight.
Well, I saw Marvin actually in the practice when I was looking back. He actually jumped into the tough block, coming. He jumped a little bit too far over. So, like you said, Kevin, you got to watch out for that.
I remember a couple of years ago they had the mechanics area and a bike came tumbling on in.
Yep.
Cleared out a couple of guys.
I remember Justin Barsha there in San Diego on the, I think it was the main event. He took the little detour into the mechanics area, kind of knocked off the side of the bike and wound up running through the
heat race. Actually,
oh, it was a heat race.
Because he cut in front of Chad Reed, and then I thought they were going to get into it in the main event, but Chad lost the front end going.
Boys, we're seeing some 51s right now.
I knew it.
51.9. Trey Kennard.
Trey Kennard's got a win here. I believe it was back in 2011. Kennard had a win here.
I think that was the year.
And you were fighting with him, if I remember correctly.
I had the lead. I don't think
you had the lead.
But then I don't remember the closing parts of that race. I was hanging out in the mobile medical unit.
Yeah. I remember Dungy was in there also.
Yep.
Quick update on the times, just about 3 minutes into this practice, 450A practice qualifying around number 2. Trey Kennard, 51.945, sits at top of the leaderboard, followed by Ryan Villapoto, 51.996, so very close there. And it's Davey Millsaps, James Stewart, and Justin Barsha. So far, a much better round for Justin Barsha in that 5th place spot. And it's Dungey, Hill, Short, Alessi, and Gerke, your top 10.
Dungey trying something there. He jumped all the way to the step on, and he didn't know if he had quite had it to step off. So we'll see what he does the next lap when he comes around. There's Andrew Short.
Well, they're whiting out those BTO Sports KTMs. A little bit different look with the white gear.
That looks really tricky to do 4 in that section he just went through.
Yeah.
Got to get a good drive down the back of that tabletop and really seat bounce that thing pretty hard on that first takeoff.
Let's see what Andrew does here in the whoops. If he's going to.
Boy, those things are brutal.
Yeah, he goes to the left-hand side.
Made a good pass through him right there.
There, that step-on, step-off worked that time. That's going to get tricky tonight, though. You already see the ruts. You see it kind of starting to break down and everything.
And that's a low bank turn right there. That
Right.
180 is low bank, so not a lot to drive off there. So it's going to really have these bikes chewing up the race surface, and I think making a really deep rut. And I like that about a track when the rider has to make that decision of when you can't do an obstacle. Well, I got to back out of this. I have to take a different line right now. So
well, and that's something that, like you said, as we're watching James Stewart. I mean, that's been some of his problems on some of his crashes when he's coming through the traffic and he's lapping. Other guys aren't able to triple out, and he'll still try it, and he'll run into the back of them or have his problems with that. Like last year here, even he overjumped one of those things. So, like you said, we were talking, Kevin and I, earlier about, not only do you physically got to be strong in those 20 main event, but it's the last 7 laps or so where you got to make sure you're still hitting your marks. And let's see what James does.
Wow.
He splits those, yeah.
Those were just amazing. And, that's something about Stewart that kind of also brings him to that, that level of enjoyment to watch him and to see what he's doing. Because unfortunately for him, a lot of times he goes hero or zero. I actually think that he's a great interpreter of how the track is going to change, bike setup and obstacles that he's going to change and do different, man. But when he has an issue and it falls off, look at that, to the top of the board.
Yeah.
51.619, James Stewart did that coming out of the mechanics area, so whatever change he made, it was faster.
But when he goes down, boy,
it goes down.
It's a show. He goes down.
And I was saying to somebody earlier today that whether you like James Stewart or hate James Stewart or are ambivalent about James Stewart, you have to admire the toughness of the guy, because when he hits the ground, he gets up lots of times and gets right back on the bike. It's amazing to me how many times James has come back from a big crash to then be in the LCQ, win the LCQ, or come back and be in the main, or come back the very next week when you thought, wow, most anybody would be out.
Completely agree. I mean, he seems to just bounce right back, and he's got some heart. So I think that if he'd have won half the races that he was in contention to win, it'd be a whole different season for James Stewart. But unfortunately, it just didn't go his way a lot of times this year for whatever reason.
Well, and I think that today, that fast lap, I think that it was in the whoops as you're watching Trey Kennard here.
Wow, did you see that chunk of dirt he pulled up, Trey? Yeah, he did. You're right, he blitzed right through those whoops.
Yeah, I mean, that's where he made up a lot of that time to have that fast lap. And there's Trey Kennard even taking that dirt.
Man.
51.57, Trey Kennard now just 1/10 faster than James Stewart. Justin Barsha there in third, so don't forget about Barsha, 51.8, and then Villapoto, 51.9. Dungey 5th place with a 52 flat.
Well, it's going to take a good start tonight to win here, that's for sure. I mean, everybody seems like they're on their A game here tonight. They're having fun with the track, and see, just kind of dancing around the Yamaha there, kind of kicked towards the end where James's bike was tracking nice and straight. And, man, it looked like he was only using half of the suspension going through the whoops.
I don't know what it is, but what changed, or if that was just a bad pass there for breaking through those whoops. But I tell you what, I was down on the floor for practice 1. You guys saw me with the shovel, and the 10 was just blitzing those whoops so fast, so committed, just riding so well. So got a little dance there, a little huckabuck that time, but I feel really confident that they didn't adjust that bike in between practices because it looked dialed in.
Yeah.
Brayton now up to 7th as you watch Trey Kennard look like plodding into that turn there, but now a new leader, Ryan Dungey, 51.20 with a minute 30 remaining in this practice session. So Dungey goes from 5th to 1st in 1 lap. A 3/10 advantage over Trey Kennard. Phil Nicoletti on the 49 NFAB Ty Lube Yamaha.
That's how his Yamaha goes through the whoops. Not bouncing sideways, but he lost momentum.
He's going through them, and like you say, not deflecting. That's right. But if you look at like Stewart or some of the other guys that they maintain such great forward drive, and when that front end really starts tagging those loops,
you're in trouble.
It slows down that forward momentum so much.
Under a minute to go here in 450A practice qualifying session number 2.
Is that RV? RV pulled it into the pits. Maybe he's going to make an adjustment, come out.
He's got time to maybe make a quick adjustment and do one flyer, one heater lap, see if he can get up there.
Bobby Canary.
Another NFAB Ty Lube entry.
Another one of the many fathers on the track.
Yeah.
Just new father this year. Congratulations to him.
Let's see if Bobby Canary might have bumped up a little bit. It doesn't look like it.
Yeah, showing him in 20th with a 54.6.
Yeah, man, that's you gotta pick it up.
54 less Smith.
Right here when they're coming out of that sand section, boy, it looks like those bikes are getting kicked every now and then. They transition back to the.
Oh, what happened? Yellow flag for Les Smith. That's gonna bone a lot of people on this last trying to.
You see a guy down and you're committed to those whoops, you cannot back out
down,
those things. No, so a lot of times if you're not comfortable with committing on the entry, you just gotta back out.
And that's the age-old argument when you're going up to a triple jump and they throw the red cross at you. You can't back out of it. There's a certain point when you're committed that if you back out of it, you're in trouble and you're going to have a bad crash.
I agree, but I have seen some pretty good leniency on AMA's part there. So
Photo didn't do it.
The Ryans crossed the finish line, and that is it for 450A practice number 2. Ryan Dungey, top qualifier, 51.2.
51.2. Wow, that was almost taken off a full 2 seconds after the
51.2 for Ryan Dungey. So if KTM is going to get a win in the 450 class, Ryan Dungey has set them up pretty well for the night program. Followed by Trey Kennard, 51.57. Then it's James Stewart, 51.6, and Justin Barsha, 51.8. Villapoto, 51.9. So top 5 in that 51, and then you move on to Millsaps, Brayton, Hill, Gerke, and Nicoletti in the top 10. Followed by Tickle, LeMay, Alessi, Weimer, Short, Partridge, Pike, Belos, Smith, and Canary.
Yeah, I know that Ricky Carmichael is not going to be happy with that 11th. I know that talking and doing an interview with Brock Tickle, they didn't do no outdoor testing. They were just down at Genie's trying to get him, and man, that's unfortunate with that 11th. But you know, Hill stepping it up with that 8th.
Kevin, and Jim bringing you Supercross Live here on supercrossonline.com. I want to make sure we thank Motorcycle Mechanics Institute. Remember that McGrath scholarship still out there. Make a video, 2 minutes to make $20,000 and set yourself up for a brand new career. Gentlemen, it might be time to make our picks in the 250 class.
All right.
Probably start with that before we get to 450B.
Well, you didn't. You were doing TV, so you moved up
over
to
at
the
TV. We don't pick.
You didn't do
there.
the pick, but we did in Toronto. How'd we do in Toronto?
In TV, we already know who's going to win.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that
predetermined?
It's magical.
It's like WWE. It's more entertainment.
You just lit up the message boards now on Twitter and Facebook.
I'm here to tell you, this is so far from WWE that it is amazing. And you know, watching these guys, just coming from his practice 5th for Ryan Villapoto. That's tough, but I've seen this guy. He's like one of the guys that it doesn't seem to bother, right? Last year here, he and I were going at it. I would get fast time. He'd be like, okay, yeah, I got this. He would go get fast time. I'd be like, all right, I'm going to try to one-up him. And it was just, you kept raising the bar time and time again. And I think that's exactly what you just saw happen in that big bike class. But
yeah,
it's anybody's game, man. It's a tough one to pick.
As we've seen so many times this year, you can throw a blanket over 5 to 8 guys, and any one of them could definitely win the race come the night show.
All right, who'd we do for Toronto?
All right,
Who'd
back in Toronto 2 weeks ago, Jim,
Yep.
you had Blake Wharton, Will Hahn, and Marvin Muskin.
Okay.
That was in order. I had Marvin Muskin, Blake Wharton, Will Hahn.
All right.
Similar picks. I know Kevin many weeks ago now, accused me of picking the 5 all the time. It was actually the 25 that I'd been picking for the entire season. That's the orange bike that I'd gotten on. And he came through again last week. So the question becomes, what about this week?
I think I'm going to go with my same picks in Toronto. I think Wharton.
Really?
I think Wharton, hometown Texas. He's from Texas. He didn't get that win in Indianapolis. He had a third in Toronto. I'm going to go with him for the win, and I think I might change though. I'm going to go. I'm sorry. I'm going to go with him for the win, but I'm going to go with Marvin for second and Will for third.
Well, you're wanting to just tighten those points right on up, huh?
Yeah, I want it to be tied going into Vegas.
Yeah, that would be fun to see.
I'm not tightening up as much as a win.
Yeah.
But I'm tightening up. I want to tighten it up.
K-Dub, you want to go next?
I'm going to go with Wilbur there. He's fired up.
He's due.
Had a good week.
Yep.
He is due.
See, Kevin's got the inside. See, he knows he had a good week.
Well,
he knows. He's in the truck.
I don't know how Marvin's week went. I didn't go over and talk to him. He didn't really want to give that information.
No, he wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna go with Marvin for second, and I'm going Bowers, man.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I wanted to throw Bowers in there as well.
Yeah.
I got to look up his number, 68, huh?
There you go.
Yeah.
Tyler Bowers. All right.
The only thing with Bowers is the only thing that I think could hurt him on something like that is his start.
Yep.
He's not going to be able to get a
He's
bad
a bigger
start.
guy.
Yeah, he's a bigger guy. I haven't seen him. I mean, for sure, I think he's going to be in that top 5 and possibly a podium if he gets that good start. But I know he's aggressive. Kevin talked about this track that it looks like you can get aggressive, and you can, but sometimes every once in a while it'll come up and bite you. So I don't know, but. Anyhow, what's your picks, Kevin?
I'm gonna stay with the 25.
Okay.
I think the 25's on a good streak. I think he's brought back from adversity a couple
of times. Wow, we got a fight here. We all three got different winners.
You can't deny that. He's been on a heck of a streak. How long can he keep it?
I'm gonna put the 19 in second.
Okay.
I, like you, Jim, would love to see, as a fan, I would love to see him tied into Vegas. It would just put an awesome spin on that event. And then I'm with K-Dub here. I'm with 68.
All right.
I think 68 comes in. He puts a wheel in on that championship. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's right in it with those two guys.
All right, that's good.
So I think that'll be a lot of fun. There's our 250 picks.
All right.
Well, let's read down Justin Sipes. He's at a 54-2 right now.
54-2 puts Justin Sipes in the conversation. And then it is Green, Gilmore, Schmidt, Parks, Gores, Schneider, McKitty. Oh, and guys moving all over the place. There's Maynette moving up and Entignap moving up. So guys are making some serious moves here in 450B. There are 3 guys just moved themselves up into the top 10.
There's Schmidt right there, 415. He's a big boy. He can handle the whoops.
Tell you what's the difference in these lap times here from the 51s to the 54s and higher, so even 57s. I mean, the majority of that are those hoops.
Yeah,
they are big here in Houston.
Yeah. And I've actually watched Schmidt in Milestone, and he's got the Milestone whoops down. He blitzes across them really good, but for some reason, when he gets here, he kind of tightens up.
Hey,
what is it?
I've rode Milestone whoops. Those are starter whoops. These things here are the big boys right here.
That's the thing about it. Like, we've talked about it so much on the show. You go to a track like Milestone, and God bless him for putting out a track like that.
I ride there all the time. Yeah, I'm not bad out there, but these things here.
Yeah, you get here, and for a rider of Schmidt's caliber, he's confident in Milestone. He's thinking, yeah, man, I got this, man. I'm blitzing the whoops. I'm feeling good. And then he gets here, and it's happened to me. It's happened to Kevin in our careers. When we get here, we go, oh, my gosh, where's my normal whoops? These things are humongous.
So you're telling me it's a confidence issue, not a setup issue?
No, it's actually both.
Yeah, it's a little of both.
When you set your bike up to go through, like if his only track that he can prepare on is Milestone,
right?
Yeah.
Then he can only set his bike up for those whoops.
Right.
And these whoops here are intimidating both visually, but bike setup for what's going to get through Milestone is not going to get you through here.
Right.
It's a combination of everything, and that's, I think,
I'd
lot
say
of times,
it's 50-50, wouldn't you? About 50-50?
Yeah, rider can overcome a lot, but I think that's one of the on top of having great bikes, being a factory rider on one of our, the Geico Honda team or any team like of that caliber, it's not only having the parts and the time to go out and test, the budget to test, but it's also having accessibility to so many different courses.
Yep, that's what you said right there.
A place like Milestone, why don't they build whoops that size? And I ride out at Milestone. This isn't calling Milestone out. I love the place being out there. They have lots of space. Why don't you see more tracks that are built similar to the whoops that we see week in and week out? Because whenever we see whoops here, they're generally pretty big outside of the first couple of weeks.
I think for guys like Milestone, things like that, it might be an issue with insurances and things like that.
I think they have a great track over there that kind of helps a wide variety of riders. I mean, we can
on
go
the
out there
Supercross track.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some guys that, I like having big whoops at a Supercross race. And I like having something like that separates the men from the boys. They always say, and a section like that where it really takes a lot of detail to set your bike up and stuff. I was always really strong in the whoops, but I think as whoops that like Milestone break down all day, I think you want to have something that's going to, you got a lot of riders out there. A lot of guys are using it as their home test track or practice track. I mean, I've done it a lot. I ride out there all the time. I love that track. And I don't want to come across as bad-mouthing. It's a great facility and do a lot of riding out there, but they don't have whoops like this.
Yeah, but I think the key that you touched upon, Kevin, was the fact that the availability of all the different suspensions and stuff. Where a privateer guy, man, he can barely afford to get a tire and a sprocket for his motorcycle, or a pipe or something if he crashes and has to get one of those. I mean, that's the key right there is all the different settings. You have that opportunity, and as a rider when you go there, we got to change this because this isn't working now, and you can go back there and make that change. And not only that, mechanic. I mean, Brian Kalma comes into play. I mean, you can tell him where I don't know if he has a mechanic. He probably has a different one each time, and it's a friend coming out here, paying his own expenses, flying just to do a signboard and then help him out.
Yeah. And when I get to a race and I pull up here, not that I race anymore, but when I did, I walked into my truck and I knew that as bad as I wanted to win, there was 12 to 15 guys on my team that wanted to win equally as bad. Some of them riders, some of them truck drivers, some of them, whatever, mechanics, suspension guys, engine guys, whatever. They all want to win so bad and badly. And that, honestly, that boosts the morale. The whole team just thrives on each other.
2 minutes to go here in 450B practice. Justin Sipes continues to lead with a 54.2. So Pooh is on top. He's followed by Gilmore on the 374 Kawasaki, 54.287. Both those guys in their last laps cruising around over a minute. Then it's Travis Sewell, then it's Entig, Knapp, Stewart, Parks, Green, Pipes, Schmidt, Albers, the top 10. Then it's McKitty, Maynette, Wennerstrom, Carlson, Gores, Oswald, Schneider, Stryker, Akaiden, and Schlatt. Just two groups here, 450A and 450B for the 450 class. 44 entries on the day. Take you quickly to the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute Tech Tip. We'll be right back with more 450B.
Today's MMA Tech Tip is actually about chain adjustment. It's a very important thing, and you want to check your manual before you do this. But how we do it, we actually put the ruler right behind the chain pad here. We pull it up. We have a range within 10 millimeters, and we want to make sure it's right in the right spot. If we're not in the right spot, and we're trying to adjust with these bolts here, we'll actually have different size chain blocks to make sure we're in the right tension. Too tight of a chain and too loose of a chain can end your day early. So there's your MMA Tech Tip for today.
Thanks, Jeremy Albrecht. Now, Kevin, you'll notice there was no hammer or channel locks used in that particular tech tip.
Look, I'm not doubting Jeremy's technique, but I've never used it to tighten my chain, that technique he just showed. I mean, he probably has a nice wrench at, what's an axle? What's the nut on the axle? Probably a
30 or 32.
I use one of those. I use one of those all 16ths. I just spin it open until it fits the nut.
You need a monkey wrench.
Normally stand on it.
A monkey wrench.
If you can't get it to go, you put a pipe on the end to get more leverage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. It don't need to be that tight. It's a self-locking nut. It ain't gonna back off.
Now you tell me. Mine, I guarantee you, mine would not back off. I'm one step shy of pulling threads.
Well, you might have a titanium one though that does.
Yeah, they don't pull. They snap.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, titanium. All right, who are our picks for that 450 class?
450 class. Yeah, checkered flag has flown here on the 450B class here in Houston as we take you back to Toronto. And my picks along with Jim. Jim, you picked Villapoto.
Yep.
So there's a winner.
All right.
Then you picked Barsha, who finished 5th. And then you had Stewart, who finished, where did Stewart finish?
7th. The number 7 finished 7th.
I had number 7 winning. I had Villapoto in 2nd and Dungey in 3rd. So
close.
Such is the way it went.
No one had Millsaps.
No one had Millsaps.
All right.
How about
Kevin Barnett? You going to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
All right.
All right, so I'm doing a little writing here. I got to think about it.
I'm going to go last because I won. I picked Villapoto to win, so I want to see what
so
you
is
two
that how it
guys are
works?
going. Yeah, that's how it works.
I can tell you how it's going to go tonight.
All right. Kevin's going
I
to go
got it.
first.
All right,
so let's go with Kevin Wyndham
goes first.
All right. What is it, Kev?
It's going to be
oh, look, now.
I'm going to go, golly, I really want to go Stewart.
You almost said that.
I'm going to go Stewart.
You're going to go for it, huh?
And then I'm going to go, I'm going out on a limb. I'm going Dungey.
Dungey,
And then I'm going to put the number 1 there in 3rd.
Number 1 in 3rd. Okay, so the streak gets broken. Ends at 4. All right, so I got to pick next,
hey,
huh?
I don't feel real good about it. Those numbers just rolled off the tongue. I think Dungey's bike is going to work well here tonight. I think this is kind of a track that might favor him.
Is that how you gamble in Vegas? Number comes in. I like that number.
You know,
0 double 0.
A lot of times that's how it works best. You know, you get.
I agree.
Like
you
if you're bowling
to the universe,
or
right?
playing putt-putt, 1 or 2 beers, it might help out. Level everything out. Then you don't really think about it so much and just throw it out there.
Plug into the universe.
Okay. All right. Who you going, Barnett?
All right, I'll throw the 5 out there.
The 5 for the
you would. Just talk me into it.
I knew he would.
The second win. See, that's a gambler. You're sitting next to a gambler, man.
I'm getting affected.
But anyhow, it's okay.
I'll take the 5.
I like that. I like that pick, and he needs to win. I mean,
he needs to win big time.
Yeah, if he's gonna stay in this championship fight, he needs to win tonight.
There's 2 guys that need to win tonight if they're going to stay in this championship hunt, man. I tell you what, Villapoto is on a little mission right now.
I think there's 3 guys that need to do it, need to be on the podium who are in the championship conversation, and I think they all do it. I think it's 5, 1, 18.
Okay, all right.
I think Davies riding well, and I'll tell you, I think Stewart's right in there. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Stewart take any one of those spots.
I like how, look at that little insurance bet he took.
Little
insurance he took.
All right, I'm going to go with I'm going to go with 1. I think Villapoto gets his 8th win of the season because I'm going to
5th in a row.
5th in a row, and I'm going to. Here's why. Because when he won here last year and wrapped up the title here in Houston, that was his 8th win of the season. So he can get the 8th win again this year in 2013 if he does it. I'm going to go with Villapoto, 5 wins in a row, 8 on the season.
Okay.
And second, I'm going to go with Dungey. I think Dungey's going to do it.
Everybody feels good about the orange bike, yep.
And, man, I'm debating whether Stewart or Millsaps for that final podium spot.
Which former JGR rider will you put in third?
I'm going to go with Millsaps because he needs to stay on that podium if he's going to have any chance of winning that. I think James could be up there, but
okay, so
like
we'll give you a parentheses 7 as
well.
No,
don't put me down. No, cross me off there. No,
no insurance. No insurance.
I was just going to tell you why. I just after watching that tape last year of James, here and over jumping that, I think there's a lot of that stuff, and I think that it might be a problem. And I'm not so sure that you hear different things, and this is only what I hear in the pits or whatever. I hear that he keeps stalling that motorcycle, and I hear that his arms are pumping up, and he just he's not, and he looks great, but I don't know why he keeps stalling. Maybe they got to turn the idle up or something, but. I just think that this could be a track where you could stall again or something.
What was crazy about Toronto flashing back was that Dungey stalled in a really high speed area.
But he can afford it. Well, he's got that button.
I understand, but the bigger question is how in the heck do you stall a bike going that fast? Like it was a pretty high speed.
I think it was that sand though. The sand. You remember that was the sand section. He was in that sand and coming out, and I think that's where he got in and he got on the brake a little bit too hard, and maybe Kevin, when you get in, how it was kind of rolling, you're on the brakes, the suspension collapses, and all of a sudden, man, I stalled it.
But normally, as soon as I guess because you're in the sand, normally as soon as you let off that brake and that rear tire starts to turn again,
right, it'll bump start. Yeah, but I think
like
at that point he was out of the corner already, and that was hard, and but to have that button was incredible. He just pushed it, and away he went,
Yep, wasn't able to do the triple, but it was nice to not have to kickstart the thing. It normally takes a couple of kicks if
Yeah.
you're lucky.
I continue to wonder if we're going to see more electric start bikes, given the fact that the mechanisms are getting lighter. The batteries are a non-issue now with lithiums. It really doesn't add any weight to the bike, and it's convenient.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember in Kevin.
I wouldn't have retired. If
No.
we had,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Hey, see, he's getting worn out.
KTM, he's available.
I'm picking. Actually, I'm not. I'm not available right now.
I'm going to go with
got my guys.
The LA Coliseum, and it was the year Brian Deegan won the Lights 250. Back then, it was a 125 class. But I'm trying to think who was leading, and they had it won, and they stalled the four-stroke, and they couldn't get it started. I want to say Doug Henry. Yeah, Henry.
Paper locked or something.
No, Henry had it won, and he couldn't.
Yeah, but that was back in the days when you had to like pull 3 levers.
But that's what I mean. But
like,
but
do 2
that was a
blips on
long
the throttle,
time ago.
pull the choke or the hot start.
Yeah, but everybody thought after that hey man, all the manufacturers have got to have electric starts, and only KTM's the only one that has it. So I don't know.
We'll see.
All right, will KTM get it done tonight? Will Ryan Dungey get KTM's first 450 win here in Houston?
I got the answer to that. It might be a little bit expensive to put them on the Japanese bikes, and the cost will be too high.
Cost too high.
Cost too much.
Okay. You heard it here. Hey, thanks for tuning in to Supercross Online and Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. Thanks to Kevin Windham for coming back, Dean Wilson for coming up, Ashley Phillips for joining the show, as well as Diana Dahlgren. It was a fun-filled, guest-filled event.
Are you going to be here in Minneapolis?
I will.
Okay, so you got
Should
one.
I get in early or late? I mean, dude, everybody wants to come hang with you guys.
I know.
The more time you're here, the better.
All right, great.
All right, so we'll see Kevin in Minneapolis. We will see you in Minneapolis. And remember, it's Minneapolis, Seattle, Salt Lake, and Las Vegas. Coming up to finish the season, the 5-race sprint starts tonight live on Speed.